good to the person in the mirror. Be good to that person every day. Be good to that person in the mirror. Cause that person's never gonna go away. That person's never gonna go away. That person, they will always make your day. So be good to that person in the mirror. Cause that person's never gonna go away.
Even though down life's pathway of years, judgment upon you must pass. The person whose verdict counts most in your life counts the one staring back in the glass. You fool the whole world and lie to yourself and get a pat on the back as you pass. But the final reward will be heartache and tears if you cheated the one in the glass. To get what you want, you struggle for self, and the world makes you king for a day. Just go to the mirror and look at yourself and see what that you has to say. That's the one to please. Never mind all the rest, for they're with you clear to the end. And you pass the most dangerous, difficult task. If the one in the glass is your friend. Well, I had a mean echo the whole time that was going on. I don't know where it was coming from. I was like, oh my God, I'm doing a live reading for the first time ever. And give me 1 second to like fix this. Oh, where are you coming from? I might have done it. All right, cool. I think I figured it out. All right, how's everybody doing this evening? Glad to see you. Hi, Chibi Flair. Hi, Suzanne. Hey, Cool Frog. How's it going, past? Right on. So glad you guys are all here tonight. This is going to be a pretty wild ride tonight. We're going to cover some pretty deep topics, and then we're going to break some veils open with some news I've recently come into that kind of like puts a light on this world that we live in a different way. But I want to set everything up by talking about just life in general and the kind of things we all go through all the time, and how we can tell when we're in balance and when we're not in balance with the world. Now, life itself seems to be, to me, a balancing act. And in the 3D universe, the one we live in here, and that's what I call it, people can call it whatever they want, but when I refer to the universe, it's some people may call it God, some people may call it other things. I kind of call it I like to think of it as the mechanism of God. I like to think of the world as an automated place, and this is why. Because let me get a drink from here real quick. How's it going? Because I think at the highest level of intelligence, and in a free will universe, as we've discussed many times, things would have to be automated and have a set of rules to run by. That to me makes the most sense, and I think the highest intelligence that we would know of, a God-like person, the creator, would have been that smart. I don't think the humans were the first one to think of automation, and I think that's the smartest way to run a universe if you're going to be a god. Automate most of it, set up rules that apply to everyone, give them free will, let them make choices, and watch what happens. And then when it's all said and done, whatever comes next comes next. But while it's there, Let them know you're there, but let them have a free run at their life. Let them make the choices. Let them learn and experience things. Let them fail and win. Let them have struggles and overcome them. Because every time you do overcome a struggle, you grow as a person. You become a better version of you. Um, in my life, and I'm going to talk a lot about my life tonight, probably more than I usually do, just to use it as an example because it's the one I know the best. um, there's been a lot of times where I've had to look. I'm going through things and I feel like everything burns down and then I rise up from the ashes in a better version. And this is like just career. It's anything any endeavors I take on, any hobbies, any sports, any relationships, all that. They all lead to better places. And the mindset to have, and right now I'd like to teach you something very important that could always help you through a hard time. It's what your inner faith is. Your inner faith, not the faith you have in other things or other people or God itself, but the inner faith, the one that runs you. That inner faith is the most important thing next to your free will that you have because it's what holds you together. When you stop believing in yourself, when you start questioning everything, when you feel hopeless, it's because you'll start lying to yourself. You'll start lying to other people because you just don't trust yourself. And that trickles down into your sense of self-worth, into your self-esteem, into your motivation, into your intention, all the way down. If you look at the way things kind of go in your life, and we've all had these moments, you can kind of trace them back up and wonder, where was my state of mind when I thought I was nothing? Where was my state of mind when I didn't respect myself or I didn't respect others, right? Where was I at internally? Did I still believe, even though something bad was happening, that it was happening for the right reason? That's inner faith. The mantra is this: no matter what's happening right now, good or bad, it's happening for the right reasons. And I believe it will lead to better things for me and everybody else as a result. That will get you back on track if you're having any issues in your life where you don't feel like you have self-respect, you don't feel like you have self-esteem, you don't feel like you have self-worth. It's worked for me, and it's the only way that I can explain it. I tend to put things in my own terms a lot of times so I can understand them, and I think that's our right. I think that's our free will. Anybody that says you got to throw down a book and do what I say, well, they're not really respecting your free will, are they? Especially when it comes to how you want to perceive the world, the perception. As long as it's in alignment and it's not way out of whack, you can call it whatever you want. You can call it your inner God. You can call it whatever. But you got to have that before everything else is going to work. Think about it. Someone who just doesn't believe in themselves. There was a friend of mine who was a musician who had a really bad drinking problem. I learned about alcoholism and what alcoholism looks like versus being an alcoholic through people like him. And he said something to me one time, and I'll never forget it. He said, "You know what? It's easy for me to lie to you. I lie to myself." And somewhere along the line, that addiction had stolen his faith in himself, and he kept losing it over and over again because of the addiction, because he didn't trust himself around the alcohol. He knew he couldn't. He did things that he would be ashamed of later on, but while he was in the moment, he couldn't control himself. And it was really sad because he's a super talented bass player. And he's still going at it. He's still doing it. But he just had to get away from things in order to rise from the ashes and isolate himself from where he was, king bass player, had everything going for him. That's the kind of thing I'm talking about. And it's important to understand that as we go forward. Now, I know I just jumped right in. Let me start by saying hello, everybody. I was really excited to get started. And I want to say that welcome to Saturday night. I hope you enjoyed the intro. The intro is a poem called well, originally called the man in the mirror, right? I call it the mirror or the one in the mirror. I want it to apply to everybody because it does. But I learned that poem in college under special circumstances, and I've never forgotten it because it really does tell a story about who we are and how that inner faith, how much it matters. And if you can look yourself in the eye at the end of the day and smile and love yourself, you're in balance with the world. You have things going on right. When you can't, that's a key indicator that you're out of balance. And why is that important? Because being in balance in this world is a struggle, and it never stops being a struggle. It's something we constantly are working on. And when you get there, it feels great. You feel on top of the world. Everything's going right. You know that feeling, right? It's like that. It's that Saturday night fever strutting down the sidewalk feeling, right? That's what it is. It's like, oh yeah, oh yeah, yeah. It's smiles and good times, and you remember those times well. Um, but as things get out of balance in your life, good things that were going on at that time start to kind of crumble a little bit or have issues here and there. And that's the real key that if you can catch it that early, you can save yourself a lot of trouble by understanding how to take a step back and reset yourself and learn from it and rise up and be a better person going forward by rebalancing yourself. And sometimes it takes hard decisions to do that. Sometimes it takes hard events to do that. Sometimes it takes things falling apart to really come back together better. It's just the way the world works. And that's why I called this the 3D universe in balance, because I believe that one of the universal laws in this automated system, and this is just my perception, and you guys can take it or leave it, or apply it in whatever way you want. But I believe that these governing laws in this 3D universe of ours, and we've covered a lot of the 3D universe as well in the past. That balance is one of them. Like this world is constantly challenging you to maintain balance as it's tipping back and forth, as it's throwing things at you, as it's making you learn and grow and become a better person. Some people get out of balance and they never know how to get back in balance. These people fall into addiction, they fall into cults, they fall into very cluster B-ish, untreated cluster B-ish behaviors against others. They don't have a respect for life. They lose their empathy. A long time ago, I came to an understanding that empathy could save the world. It really could. It could change everything if everybody could tap back into the same empathy they had as a kid. And this is why. I believe we're all born the same. We're all born innocent, love, and light. And it's the world that corrupts us, right? And it changes us. But some of that is necessary, right? Some of it's necessary because that's when you start to really learn and grow, is when mistakes are made and when you are not in that innocent state anymore, where it's like, oh, let's go play. Unfortunately, with that comes a lot of the turmoils and troubles and corruptions and evils in the world. But if everybody could just see each other as that little kid again, like the kid you just met in the playground, and hey, let's go play. Remember that? Yeah. Do you remember that? I just got through reliving it again through my own kid, and it's a beautiful experience. Kids will teach you more about yourself than you'll ever figure out on your own, because you get to see it again. You get to remember it again. That to me has always been the major one shot solution. But of course, that's not possible, right? All we can do is remind people of this. Can't we get everybody? When you start to get into a tussle with somebody, or when you start to degrade people or whatever. I'm not saying that's what you do, but I'm saying when those situations arise, right? And if you could stop for a second and just remember, hey, I probably would have just run off and gone down the slide with this person. I it's not about what they look like or anything else. It's just that we're both here having fun. And I just want to have fun and enjoy this beautiful world. Everything's so exciting. The energy feels so good. That's innocence. That's the beauty of our childhood. And that right there, I think if people before they hurt somebody else could stop for a second and see that in somebody, they wouldn't want to hurt them. Like you wouldn't want to hurt an innocent child, right? It's just wicked. Of course, there's people that are so corrupted that's what they do, and that's going to be in the second half of the show. But um, I'm setting this up by going back and thinking about this. And hey, look, it's a great thing to understand about yourself, because if you can do that, then you can start to figure out how to rebalance yourself. Like right now, I feel like I've been out of balance, right? I feel like even though I'm doing these things, I'm really gunning for the channel and trying to come up with new ideas, and I'm very active and doing new ideas in and out, right? There's something missing, man. There's something that's throwing me off. And just like with my career, when I had to realize that I was both a technical person and a creative person, and in order to be happy in my job, um, I'd have to find a balance between both of them, even at some point when I just didn't want to do the tech anymore. I just wanted to be a musician, um, or like even right now where I'm really denying that musician side of me. I'm not doing enough with it. I'm not picking up my guitar and playing it. That thing was so important to me for so long, and it is part of me. The legacy of my guitar, the adventures I had, those all came from that passion, that drive, and I'm not recognizing it right now. That's part of the reason I'm out of balance. That's part of the reason um, I need to do something about that. Another part of the reason too is my priorities, right? Where are my priorities? They've been on this mission I've been on for the last 3 months. Granted, I feel like it was a decent mission, and it was necessary. It taught me a lot. It introduced me to a lot of new people, and it did some real good, uh, you know, in clearing up some problems of the past. And the mission started to understand what I'm going to talk about in the next part of the show. But that really did take a lot of energy and time, and it took me away and off of my well balanced beginning here on the channel. And by the way, next Saturday night is our 1 year anniversary here. We will have been winning reality for 1 year, and I'm gonna plan something great, as good as I can, and it'll be what it'll be. But I'm gonna have all the people who have been instrumental in this channel over the last year come and hang out and be part of it. I hope to have maybe some of the cast from LawTube is Getting Weird drop in, or maybe I can get them to send a video or something like that. I really want to do everything we do that night. So, if I can get, hopefully TR will be free. And hopefully Space Power Monkey will be free, since we've started 2 new shows with those guys in the past weeks. And of course, Cool Frog, who he was the first person to find me, and and really bring me in and introduce me to a lot of really cool people who will be there as well, hopefully. I just want to have a good time and have a lot of fun winning reality style, and just blow off some steam, and no drama, no issues, no anything like that. We're just gonna have fun and just have it our style, right? And of course our mods, the crew. We can't do this without, and each one of you are amazing people. And of course our members, the people in the front row, having the dancing their butts off, having a great time. There's no show without you. And of course everybody else that's going to show up and fill up the venue, and we'll have a good time no matter what. Just wanted to make sure I said that so I didn't forget, because I've got a lot of thoughts rolling through my mind right now. But in this, right, this balance thing we talk about, when you do kind of put too much weight onto one thing, or don't have your priorities, or you're missing something, and you don't have your priorities straight, it's really easy for things to start going wrong. And when you see a cascade of events going down, pay attention to those. Don't take them lightly. Don't put them outside. Always examine it, even if it seems clear at one point, or you think it at some point that it's clearly coming from somebody else, right? Just make sure of that, because it could be an indication that you need to pay attention to something else more in your life, and you need to reset and rebalance so that you can maintain what you have, so that you can so that you don't lose much on the way to rebalancing, because if you go too far, you get into that burn phase where you're just burning down, and you got so many fires and so much stress going on in your life. Before you know it, you turn around and it's like, what the heck just happened, right? Don't let it get out of hand. Learn the universal law of balance, and it's in everything. And it's not just in our lives, but in our communities, in our, it goes micro to macro. And in fact, I almost called this micro to macro as well. I almost added that in there, but I didn't want to get too much into the weeds with that, because I really just want to talk, and I really just want to hear. I just really want you to hear about all this stuff, and how it affects, right? And the balance I'm talking about can even be as far as your worldview and how that gets impacted by the information that is out there. I see a lot of people that are allowing themselves to live in fear. And I know the condition, and I know the condition because I've had it. And the topic of condition, let me just say how I perceive condition. Sorry, I'm kind of stuttering over this. Condition to me is a temporary state or a long-term state a person can be in. It can be big things like, disability, which I think most people would think, or something like that, or just little things like, are you hungry? Are you having your period? Or, what are the things that are affecting you at the moment? This could be also your belief system. Like, it brings on things to you. So when a person approaches you and they're in a bad mood, that's a condition that they're in, right? I also believe politics is a condition. I think that's why it's so fluid, right? People change over time. When I think about where I was at 20 years ago, right? I didn't give a rat's ass about politics, man. And I was the perfect candidate in my major to be scooped up and put into the mainstream media or some kind of subversive state, because I got it. But I just didn't apply it and didn't look for anything else. I just learned the information and was really good at it. And I would make these videos. Actually, I made videos way back then. And at one point, I was actually the only person using this brand new technology called CMAT at my college. I was like the top editor, but I was making really, 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 really remedial stuff. But I think that's where I got my start with computers and editing. So everything comes full circle. Here I am, way down the road later. I'm working in computers, and I'm doing video editing again, and I'm loving it. I'm having fun. I really do enjoy it, and I really do enjoy making content for everybody. And I like to make people laugh. That's my thing. I always just love to make people laugh, and if I can do that, I feel like I'm bringing a lot of joy and a lot of light to the world. And so I do that, and especially if you're my friend. I even want to make you laugh more, right? So that's kind of like how I am. That's my condition, right? Well, what changes that day to day? What affects that? Have I eaten enough? Am I getting enough sleep? Have I how am I doing working out things from the past? I went through a hard time for the last 10 years, and getting over that was it's been hard, man. And I still coming into the world again, out of isolation, kind of. I'm going to have to learn a few things over, or learn better ways to do them. Like how I handle different confrontations online. I really just try to avoid it, because I know that it can put me in a very bad place and give me a very bad look. And I want to make people happy. I'm here to entertain you. I'm here to entertain and hand off my wisdom and the things that I've learned. And you can take them or leave it. You can like them or not. You can say, I talk too much, or I put too many words behind things. You can say, that's one style versus another. I used to say what's necessary, right, or what's right or wrong. It's just the way it is, and it's how I express myself. I have this engineer's brain, highly logically driven. I can think of a lot of things, a lot of workflows, and a lot of connections in my mind at one time, and it comes out as a wide information for a lot of people that don't have that kind of mind. Their mind works a little bit differently. It's programmed a little bit differently. So I get it. But if you hang with me, I always bring everything back around. And that seems to be the problem a lot these days, is that people just want to jump in. They have some kind of stopwatch on. They think that, oh, well, this is the way it should be. I was like, show me the book. I didn't get the instruction manual on how to do this. Maybe I'm missing something. I gotta make up for here. And knowing yourself too, and being okay with it. Like I said, the man in the mirror. Although down life's pathways a year, judgment upon you must pass. The person whose verdict counts most in your life is the one looking back in the glass, and that's really what it's about. That goes back to that inner faith. You see how I bring things back around? It's a crazy ride. I mean, it works for me, man, and I just want to share it with you. I just want to share it with other people. I think the world is about sharing ideas and putting information out there. And, that's how I got here, is other people doing the same thing. And speaking of information, there's a lot of good information and a lot of bad information out there. And again, that's kind of roll into the next part of the show. But I want to keep saying that so people stick around to see the whole puzzle come together. So that interfaith, that person in the mirror, being their friend, loving them, so important, because everything in your day starts right up here in your mind. Whether you're going to have a good day or a bad day, it starts right there. Whether you're going to be in a good mood or a bad mood, it starts right there. It's hard to believe, but we do have that ability to create our own reality, as you will. Like, how are we going to be? That's the part you're winning on your own, right? And it's tough. And it's like I said, knowing balance is a way to kind of keep that high level up. Like understanding when things get out of balance or not letting yourself get out of balance. Are you getting enough exercise? Are you paying enough attention to all the things that you have in your life? Because when you don't pay attention to things in your life that are important to you, they tend to go away. Don't take things for granted if you want them to stick around. Those kind of things. Are you paying enough attention to your job? Are you putting as much energy into that as you are your recreation? All these are the things that throw people out of balance and put them in a bad spot and cause stress in the world, bring people down, bring others around, bring your life into a bad place where you have to go and recover from it. And a lot of times these can be prevented just by going, you know what? I've gone months without really working out. I need to get in there and really start treating my body better. I need to pay more attention to my body right now. I know I'm paying a lot of attention to my mind. My spirit's good. But man, I just really have not been paying attention to my body. Well, why do you think you feel tired? Well, here, let me take some stuff to kind of fix that. Why do you think that, you pull muscles or your back hurts or anything like that? Well, let me take something for that, right? We have all these little pacifier remedies going on in this world that people are glad to sell to you because they know you're going to have those problems because they don't teach you to be balanced with yourself. Some people do. Some people try. Parents definitely are trying to keep their kids to be balanced in a sense most parents are as they're growing up, with a routine, right? The importance of health, the importance of going to school and learning, the importance of, playtime and friends and all that other stuff that we generally, we slowly get rolled into as we're growing up. And then more responsibility as you're learning to become an adult. I was thinking about that today, and a lot of other things. But that I've been thinking about for a while. So I'm going to always try to lead by example in a lot of ways, as much as I can. I'm just a human being. I make mistakes. I fall down. I get up. Things get out of whack for me, and especially for me, because I can really focus and drill down and just be so laser focused on something that I'm just trying to cross that finish line as fast as I can. And in the meantime, I'm letting something slide. And great situations can turn into stressful situations or dramatic situations when that happens. And those are your indicators. So when you see that, take a step back, take a breath, own it, work on it, rise up. Balance is key in so many ways. And in society, we're tipping back and forth between this balance between these two sides of thought in this world, or good and evil, or light and dark, however you want to look at it. It's always on this balancing act I call it. And I would show scales, but the scales have already been kind of co-opted by, the law and justice and so on. So that's not going to register with you as much as imagine yourself on a balance beam, right? That's your balance right there. You want to be able to walk down the middle. Well, if you pay too much attention to your left foot or your left arm, right, you start to tip this way. And if you do it on the right, you start to tip that way, right? That's one way to look at it. But you figure out a mental image that works for you in terms of doing that. And that might help a little bit. I would also say that there's other ways to kind of learn yourself as well. Some people turn to representations like astrology and other things like that help them. Now, I've found that with the universe and so on, and this automated system as I believe it to be, that that the alignment of things that are mathematical points can help us understand ourselves a little bit, right? I won't go too much into that because I want to do a different show on my astrology background, which has changed over time, like my political beliefs. 20 years ago, didn't give a shit. I just thought politics were stupid. I didn't pay attention to them, right? 10 years ago, I was just like, okay, whatever, we got to do something about this. And then I started learning and learning and learning and learning. And now I'm where I'm at today, which is, constitutional reform kind of solutions to a corrupt system. And most people's probably do change too. So even if you are dead set on the way you think the world is today, don't be surprised if 10 years from now you look at it differently. If you think that, wizards and the Illuminati and all these things are what's after you, and you live in fear over that, you might find that it was maybe a little bit of a waste of time. I think I've been waiting 20 years for the world to end, at least. I think I'm pretty sure I've been waiting for 20 years for the world to end. And, I think back in 2012 and when, a planet supposed to come out of nowhere and hit us and, all these signs, the Mayan calendar was ending, all this shit people were talking about, none of it came true. None of it happened. But we worry about that. Okay, the collapse is coming. How many times have you heard the collapse is coming? Well, it's a possibility. It is. It's something to be concerned about, but don't think the end of the world's right around the corner. Human beings, we survive, we persevere. Things happen, and just because it looking a little bit dire at times, something like an amazing president can pop out and set back the clock on all that stuff. Are there people in the world that want nothing but pure evil to happen? Are there people in the world helping that happen? Sure, but is it as dark and calculated as we think it is? I don't know. I'm gonna put something to you. I'm gonna tell you something at the end of the night. It's gonna change your mind, possibly about the way these things happen. And this comes from extremely good knowledge. I'm not gonna be dropping a lot of details on that, but I'm gonna reveal some things that are gonna make you take a second look when you look at some of the stuff that you probably have given some serious consideration to over the last 10 to 20 years. And that is, some of the same things I did too. I would have had no idea that this is the way things are. And when I think about how much impact it's had, I was talking to my father today about this, and I was like, we used to be able to go out and ride bikes and get exercise all the time, and we did sports and we did all this other stuff. But that got taken away. That got taken away. And somehow between the time I went to college and the time I had a kid, the whole childhood experience had changed. And it's not right. If anything drives me more than, anything in this world, it's that. It's not just that one part of it, but it's all the things that made it happen. If I've been fighting for anything all this time, it's been for the future of my son and my family and yours and everybody else's, all the kids. I'm at the point where that's where I was supposed to be doing. Now I feel like I'm at the point where I need to be talking, passing on wisdom, and just, hey, there's my ideas, take them or leave them. It is what it is. I hope they help you out. I really do. If they don't, that's fine too. But keep an open mind, right? And I know that I've kind of gotten away from that over the past several months. I've kind of slid back to about 10 years ago to get some questions answered, and then found myself right back where I was. Not even, I mean, I definitely am more, uh, a more knowledgeable version, a more effective version, I would think, even. But we did good work back then, and that's where this recent stint has taken me. And the reason was is I wanted to figure out some answers to old questions. Well, you go looking for them, you're usually going to find them, and you can learn something from that. So what I learned from this experience, outside of the knowledge, was what I learned about myself was, hey, what do I really want to be doing here? And what did I start this channel for? And what's it about? Well, I had the setup to do this about 2 or 3 years before I actually pulled the trigger on that thing. I had all these ideas, never felt motivated about it, or passionate about it. And then suddenly, in the middle of what I was going through, or at the end of it, the tail end of it, this new world kind of opened up to me. And then the Johnny Depp really changed. I can't believe I'm saying this, but Johnny Depp really just changed everything, because he thought he gave us an opportunity to solve a major problem that was going on in this world, and that happened to directly affect me. And I said, you know what? He had the balls to get out there and do this, and he spent so much money to do this. I need to start talking about things openly, and maybe this is the way to the new place, right? And so far it has been. And in that, it became, hey, solution oriented, solution minded. Let's start thinking about making things happen instead of just talking about it. We can sit around and complain all night long and confirm each other's ideas and get scared and live in fear. But you know what? That's exactly what they want us to do. That'll put you right out of balance. That'll put you out of balance fast. Fear is the mind killer, and it will put you out of balance fast. But it's natural to be scared of things, and the people who want you to be scared know that. And I say people. When I say people tomorrow or next week, you're going to be like, if you're still here to hear this, you're going to see it a different way. I do now. I see a lot of things different now. So it was a good experience. So maybe everything I just did and get myself out of balance was, is to rise from the ashes, a better version of myself, and to be able to help this channel really do well, and really help people. And in a sense that, hey, I just want you to consider the points and think for yourself. Really get into looking at the world as a place that you are a creator in, and that you have a say in when you feel like you don't. So many people feel helpless. They feel like the world is ending, and the next great boogeyman's around the corner. And man, I've been there. I'm not putting anybody down for being there. It's part of the journey. It really is. That's all I'm saying. But the way you get back on track, or get through that part of the journey, is this stuff I'm talking about right now, because that's what's on the other side. I mean, there's nothing at the end of the rainbow but a unicorn's asshole. And don't follow the rainbow, but know that the world is always going to kind of be in this flux, this balancing act between good and evil. And if you look back, it's happened, right? Same with your life. It's never going to be perfect. You're never going to be perfect. Nobody else is going to be perfect. Consider that more. I see so much drama in the world, and so many people just jump to anger. And I've been one of them plenty of times. Believe me, I grew up in a very rough and direct place. And that was a face-to-face world. So it was either, when someone came at you, they meant it. Let's put it that way. There wasn't really much getting out of it. That was the world I came up in. In the area I came up in. And then when I went off to different areas, I had to relearn how that, hey, look, not every place is like that. Not everybody's like that. And I tend to like those other places better. Though I still love my hometown for what it is, and it is a part of me. But it was a surprise, right? I figured I was just learning the way of the world, but you get out in the world and realize there's a lot of different ways. There's a million paths to the same point, right? And if you're on the good path, you can be doing it a lot of different ways. Um, there's people that will show you things, that will teach you things that you need to know at the right time. A good friend, with a more grounded personality and an outlook on life. Their outlook can be very helpful when you feel like you're just flying off the edge, or you're trying to reassess yourself. You're trying to figure out where the out of balance parts are coming from. Those people could be very important in your life. And you know what? You're going to do something for them too. The idea of friendship and relationships is a balance between people. The good ones, not the abusive ones. Of course, that's always out of balance. That's just, that's out of balance from the start, and of course, that's to make you out of balance and intentionally. But you know, the people you surround yourself with, and you allow yourself to be vulnerable with, and open up and show that, hey, yeah, I'm a formidable person. Yeah, I'm a driven person. But you know what? I'm also a human being, and I also have feelings. I also make mistakes. I also, have regrets, or I have goals, or I have whatever. You know how it goes, right? That's what it's about. But those people, when they're there, man, love them, because they are there to help you find your balance again. And it gets easier as you go. And the better people you hang out with, the better that is. I know a person right now. He's a very special person whose life is running like you wouldn't believe, like time wise. Just time is just always gone for them. They're fighting every day, and they're showing me, hey, look, there's certain priorities in your life and certain things in your life you need to be doing right now. And just by example, just by being them, they inspire me and show me the way I need to balance my life better. And I'm there to remind them that there's another side to this too, and that hard work is going to pay off, and that you'll have time back one day. You'll get through this, to help them carry on through this tough time in their life, and to learn from it at the same time. So we're traveling the same path, and we have the same issue, but it just in a different way. Mine is an abundance of time, but not an abundance of maybe my priorities need to be a little different, right? Are a little better, just like shaped up a little bit more, shuffled around more. I can get laser focused, like I said, and then things fall apart. Well, I don't really notice when I'm in that mode too much. The hardest person to see is yourself. And that's why, loving yourself and forgiving yourself and getting through your challenges, even when you fall down, is the most important thing. To never give up, and always believe, even in the darkest days and even in the worst situations, you can learn something, and that you never really lose if you learn something, even if you do, right? Sometimes it's good to step away. Sometimes it's good to step up. All these things we deal with all the time. There's a right time for everything. That's the balance, right? I know this is getting a little into the weeds, but I just kind of wanted to just make that point so everybody can kind of understand it. I want to move on a little bit here. How's everybody doing out there? Anybody have any questions? You want to ask me anything? Just please ask me. If I don't see your questions, probably because I'm looking around or doing something. But it's really just a stream of consciousness kind of stream tonight. If you do have questions, I'd love to answer them about anything I'm saying, or like how I see the world, or like how I perceive this or that. That's what this is about, really. There are other laws. I think universal laws out there that I probably will cover at different times, but balance is such an important one that I really wanted to give it its own first half of a show. Now we're going to get into the cool stuff here in a minute. As far as this is cool, but I mean, as far as the veil breaking stuff, I'm going to change some people's world tonight, I think, if they're ready to hear it. And then, it's the right time, right place for others, right? Maybe it's not that important to everybody, but maybe I can help some people see that it is kind of important to understand and see things this way, because it really does affect a lot of us. What I'm talking about really is the perception of the world from the second veil. Now, the veils of perception, I almost wanted to do that tonight. And so I put in the description that this show would set up new content to come, right? So I'm going to be moving away from the investigative stuff that I've been doing to a point. For sure, the information will always be coming out. It's always going to be referenced, right? Because that was an experience where we learned a lot of things about the world. But I want to get back into what we were doing originally. We started out with the OS of the mind. We learned that the mind operates on images, right? And so through that, people have learned how to manipulate people with images. And we are seeing a widespread effect of that. And we covered that again next after that with Yuri Bezmenov and ideological subversion, right? That's changing someone's ideology from birth. But the technique that is done is the same for all the other things we're seeing, the CRT, the woke, and other things that are out there that I see. I don't want to give away the big reveal here, but other things that are out there. That's the same techniques that are going on. That's why they go after the youngest, because they're the most impressionable of all this. It's the ones they can do the most damage to and change the most, the fastest, with the least resistance. Like, when a child sees something for the first time, that's an imprint, right? So if they can get someone that has never really been imprinted with a certain type of image, if they can imprint them with that, they have to fight to change that. They could carry that imprint along and become what it is later on down the road. That's what the woke stuff's about. It's about making them question their identity itself. Mommy and daddy told you, you're a boy or whatever, right? It's that. And that, well, you can be all these other things. And, here's a books and pictures and look at this and look at that. And, parents are no fun. They always just want to do, they get into they try to get into their heads and change them. That's that's that grooming aspect of it. That's what the grooming part of it is. It's grooming the good out and replacing it with something else. That's the subversion technique. And we've just let it kind of sneak up on us. Where did it come from all of a sudden? Where did it spring up so fast from? I'm leading into it. I'm coming, I'm heading that way. Where did it come from so fast? Did it come from, was it really that fast, or was it really slow? Or, is it some master plan? Is it the Illuminati and they're changing, making the frog gay? Or is it the white papers of the elites? And see, they've clearly written everything down for us. And this is what's going to happen. Is it them? Is it, where is it? Where did it come from? No, it came in right under our nose. We knew about all this stuff as all this was happening. Nobody even was paying attention to it. A few people kind of said, hey, pay attention. This is the agenda, but they don't really know how they were going to actually execute doing it, or who was actually executing it. And how sinister the plans really are, and what really is behind them. And I'm not talking about, the Zionists, or I'm not talking about, the New World Order or anything like that. Like, you're going to be surprised to find out. And if you consider the sources, if you look at the sources, you're going to find out that, you might, 10 years is about up. I might be changing my mind a little bit about some of this stuff. Let me, I had a screen. Let me find it. I kind of wanted just to kind of point this out. I got this whiteboard, right? And I want to kind of write on this whiteboard as we talk and kind of write down some ideas. So I know I talk a lot, and I'm kind of like, this was a lot clearer in my head. I'm like, maybe it's just been a long day, but I should have just started streaming last night and recorded it. I was on fire last night and early this morning. But let me, I'm still hitting the points. It's just not as clean as as it is in my head right now. There we go. Rep specs. And this and share. Okay. I want to remind everybody of this. Okay, this is the stages by which we make decisions or come into beliefs, right? This could be beliefs too. We become aware of something, right? We gain some research on it. Either we do deep research or we adopt someone else's research on it, right? We start to go into a consideration mode where we're looking into, well, what's good, what's right, what's not. Is this good for me? Is this right for me? Is it not? And then we make a decision about whether or not we're going to adopt the behavior, adopt the belief, do the thing, right? Or create this, or this is the solution that we need, right? So we go through this everywhere. It's called the buyer's journey. And when you make a buying decision, these are the 4 stages you're being marketed to right here, right? First of all, oh, hey, did you hear about this new item? It's brand new. How about the new one all the guys are advertising now, the green stuff, right? You can just throw it in the, and then, you can just throw it in this jug and you get your vitamins. Did you know that you need all these vitamins a day, and this one drink has it? So they're making you aware of the product and what it does. Our research has shown if you have so many of these a month, your health is going to improve, or you'll notice a boost in energy and so on. I know there's a lot of products out there, right, that are similar, but this one's different because this one can do this, and we mix it in this way, and this is how it's going to be better than the other ones that you know about. So when you're out there making a decision, what are the things that you need to make a decision about buying? Is it the price? Is it the is it how it is going to help the conditions you have? Is it how it's going to how it compares, how it tastes? All these things, right, go into your decision. And yes, I'm going to buy that because I realize that it's better than the other ones. I've seen the research; it has all the vitamins I need, and I'm aware that it's out there, right? And when you're talking about solutions, it's the same track, right? Only we take it a step further into implementation. So then we have to implement the solution in order to get to the resolution. That could be anything too. So these can apply to a lot of things. It's kind of like the stages of grief, right? So let me put this out here real quick, because this is going to roll into how we actually deal with losing belief, right, in something, or how we deal with losing someone that matters to us, right? Or how we deal with change. All these things are part of this. We are going through these things all the time when we're making a decision or when we're dealing with something. So the first stage is denial, right? Like when I talk about the conspiracy theories later, people are going to hit denial in here. I guarantee it. Some people will. Some people are going to be like, well, I've kind of thought about that before. Those people might get angry. They might be angry at themselves. They might be angry at me. I spell it right. Yeah. Angry. It looks different in this font for some reason. All right. There's this bargaining. Bargaining is almost like talking yourself in and out of it. I think that's the way I look at it. And then there is depression, or this is almost like, some people could say depression. Some people could say it's just kind of like a walk up to acceptance, or just a lament or something like that. I'll just leave it at depression. I think depression is a really downer word to put there, but in the stages of grief, it makes sense, right? They're not really gone, God, why did this happen? Why can they do this? It didn't really happen. To, oh my God, I just can't go. I just can't move because of this. It's like it's driving. I'll never be the same. I can't go on. To, okay, it happened, right? It happened, and I'm spelling things. Thank God for spell check. Yeah, okay. So it's just, yeah, I hope that's right. And then okay, I get it. Okay, this is the way it is now. I'm ready to move on with my life. I can accept the fact that this person isn't here anymore. I can accept the fact that I believe this at one time, and now I believe something new, right? Because I can see through this stage, right, that it was the right decision to make, to move away from this part and into this part, right? This is how it's working at all times. If you've watched this in your life, you'll see it all the time. And denial and to acceptance is all about ideas and situations, and these are all about basically knowing about something and deciding to do something with it, right? Or do something about it. So these things right there are always in play with us. And if we pay attention to them, we can tell what stages we are in and what stages other people are in, right? When you, I should just call it denial. When you confront somebody in a discussion, right? And they realize really fast that they don't have the same information that you do, and they can't really hang in the conversation. If they want to just be right, and they're not concerned with actually understanding whether or not, or considering whether or not they should keep that idea, right? You're going to get a lot of this, And then when this is all dried up, when they can't deny it anymore, you're gonna get a lot of that, right? And then this is where fight or flight takes place. So you're either fleeing or fighting at this point. And this is where people who just want to win the argument and they don't care about the truth are usually end up right. But if you can kind of get past that, you have a good chance of getting him to hear. In terms of that, I wanted to write something. I just thought about it. I'll think about it in a second. In terms of that, when you go into you're debating, say you're debating someone who's an establishment kind of heavy person, right? They only got the news, right? The first veil news. We're talking about the first veil. That's the world you're born into. That's the thing you see until you see past it. The mainstream media, the government, all that stuff, the way you're taught about it in school, right? All these early foundational ideas that you're given about the perception of the world, and then you're surprised later on in life to figure out, well, hey, some of these aren't true, right? Some people never really get out of this stage and they stay behind the first veil. Well, you're talking to them about like, are there groomers in schools, right? And they're freaking out because they go, no way. All they can see is what they've seen on in their little world, and that's it. There's no way this can be happening because I know it's not true. I know it. I'm not going to listen to anything you have to say. I just know it, right? Because I have all this anxiety about it possibly being true, or I don't believe you because you don't, you're going against the grain, you're going against the narrative. These types of denials things, right? So they start to argue with you. Yeah, well, how's that? Well, let me show you all these articles, right? I'm bringing awareness, and then I'm giving you the research, right? And so here's all these articles. Here's this guy that went to a school board meeting and he got up there and said, I am part of this great new wokeness, and your kids we will, teach your kids whether you like it or not, and then later on he's arrested for trying to be with children. So, they may take a look at that and get angry that you showed it to them and just take off. Whatever, man. It's you. You're the one. You're anti this, or you're phobic that, or you're whatever the word I was taught to say when this happens, right? And then they go back, and then they get home. They go, oh, can you believe this guy? And they find a bunch of people to confirm their bias, right? So that's a good one. I think cognitive dissonance was the other one. I was going to kind of label these out, but they go home and get confirmation bias from their crew, right? So whoever it is, whether it's TV or the people they went to college with, or their best friends, neighbors, whatever, they run and they stay in this confirmation bias, right? They get angry because they run into and look, this is stuff I learned the way I learned it. Some people think that I think I know everything. I don't know everything. I learned this because I worked at it, and I dedicated time to it. When people said, hey, it's not, why do you dedicate time to it? Why is that? It's stupid. Why you do that? It's just like, some people just think that, looking into stuff like this is stupid. Just turn the news on, watch that, let them tell you what to think. That's what I do, right? So you get this cognitive dissonance right here. Yeah, my spelling, everybody sees I can spell. And then it's also fight or flight stage right here. Just so you guys kind of can see it visually. I actually didn't mean to go this detailed, but here we go. Now you see how it is for me. So these are the things that you'll see in these stages, right? I should do this differently. There we go. Let's just make them smaller. That'll help. The visual is important because we're visual learners. I mean, all of us, we store things in a visual sense. Some people think dreams are like, some kind of magic, right? Or some kind of, teleportation or something like that. That's fine. I tend to think of it as everything that's not visual kind of being transformed into visual states. That's why everything looks like a freaking AI painting, or like it gets really weird, or, you could be back at your old school, or, somebody has, a weird look to them, or an extra hand or some weird stuff like that. It's your brain kind of translating things that you saw during the day into visual images to be stored in certain places. That's my thought on it. I mean, people can say what they want. It definitely has a function to your health. I'm not going to, I definitely wouldn't deny that. But my impression of dreams are they very much resemble what's going on in your world. I tend to, like, when I'm stressed out, or like I'm behind, like I money, stressed out about money, I have a lot of dreams about people chasing me, and like I have dreams about people, turning on me or something like that. I tend to have these real vivid dreams, and I don't sleep well when I have a lot when I'm out of balance. I don't sleep well. I toss and turn. I haven't tossed and turned in years, and I recently started waking up like on in weird spots of the bed. I'm like, my shoulder hurts, my neck hurts. I'm like, man, I'm definitely stressed out. I've learned that that's what I do when I'm stressed out, so that way I'm like, whoa, okay, red alert, red alert. Let's try to figure out what's going on here. Oh yeah, you need to do this. Oh yeah, you need to do that. So these kind of things are just stress coming out. So anyways, where was I? Oh yeah, the other thing I wanted to say was this. I've said this a bunch of times, but I want to write. Oops, hello. I want to write it down for everybody, just so everybody doesn't think that I think I know everything. I've said this a million. I've said this a bunch, right? I'd rather know the truth than be right. How about you? That's how you really get free. Honestly, to me, that's how you really get free in this world. Is you take on this stance, and you're like, you know what? It's okay if I'm wrong because I'm just learning. I'm growing. I'm getting better. I'm becoming a better version of myself. Because in the truth, you stay in the light and you see the world for what it is, the real reality of it. Then you can do something about it. Your awareness goes way up when you live in the truth. And hey, you know what? It's almost valiant of people to say, you know what? I learned something. You know what? I used to think this way, but I think that way. It shows growth. It shows intelligence. And if you can't if you're not sure about that, try it out. That's a weird spacing. Try that out. Try that out because this will really, really kind of light you up and change your world when you say, you know what, I can let go of any belief that I have if I have the right information that shows me I shouldn't have believed it in the first place. You have these veils of perception that are out there, and like I said, the first one is that one you're born into. The second one is when you realize that the system's kind of gamed, that they don't always tell you the truth. They don't always tell you everything. They omit things, right? So you get the first veil. It's just, let's just call it the establishment narrative, right? It's like whoever's in power, they control this narrative, right? And we've seen a few of these in our life, but let's call it that because that's really what it is. But the second one is when you're outside of that. What did I just do? Undo. Um, right. Okay. The second one's when you're outside of it. And this is where we're going to spend a lot of time here in the coming weeks, right here. The second veil. The second veil is a very tricky place. The unfortunate thing about this world is that a lot of people think that because they left the first veil that they know everything about the world, that they got it now. They're ahead of the game. They're on top of it. There's no way that these elites and their plan for destruction is going to get me, right? But what they don't know is on the other side of the first veil, the second veil, there's people waiting for them. In fact, they're a lot more nastier than these people over here, in terms of how they're going to treat you and what they're going to do to you. And that's what we're getting ready to get into for the big grand finale here. When I definitely shatter this one wide open. And we're going to fall back on some recent research to do that. And we're going to go all the way back to Elon School to help us. The second veil, I would just call it the next veil, the information veil. Like it's just, I don't have a really good name for this, but it's basically it's basically another illusion about the world. It's not the establishment narrative. It's not the anti-establishment narrative, though it's mixed in. It's just the other information that's out there. It's the rest of the story. How about we call it the rest of the story? All right. And because inside of this is the rest of the story, even though there's more to learn. Now, let's not call it that. We're calling it the second veil for now. But in the second veil, you're gonna find your deep, dark conspiracies. You're gonna find a lot of nasty things that are going on. And when we get to the third veil, which I'm gonna tiptoe you through a little bit, we're gonna learn that we're not Kansas anymore, and that a lot of things that we thought we knew because we thought we escaped the influence of the first veil and the establishment of power. we had to overcome again and have a second awakening in the second veil. That's really what it is. It's like maybe I should just call it the next awakening or second awakening, because it really is what it is. If you don't wake up again, let's do this. If you don't wake up again here, you'll be stuck there forever. You'll be thinking the Zionists are coming after you, or that there's it's hopeless. There's no hope. AI is going to kill you. It's going to take over. You're going to be stuck in a mindset of fear. Let's just call this the fear veil, not fear. But I don't know. There's so many words you can use for it because this is a complicated veil. Second awakening is a good word. There we go. Good word. So once you figure out there is a second veil, then you're, hey, you know what? That's half the battle right there. But this is where you're going to fall into the QAnons, the all these things that people swear are going on. They've seen the information, they've gotten it from this dude. This is whistleblower. We trust this guy. We don't really know if he's a whistleblower. We don't know if he actually had a career or what he did at the alphabet agency. But we're damn sure he's telling the truth, right? He's definitely not pulling our chain. But there's people out there that set a whole bunch of people up that are just coming out of there to fall into these holes so they can control them. And we know some people like that, don't we? Yeah, I like that. Behind the, yep, that's the Talking Heads. Many good days go by. Yeah, once in a lifetime. I've actually played that song. I think I actually played that song. Hopefully by the summer or the end of the summer, I'll have my guitar set back up, and I've got get my new pedals up. I'll get practiced up. I'll be able to hear and speak well again because the pollen will be gone, and I'll go into I might do a little bit of music, man. I got to do something with it. I try to put it in my videos and stuff, and I was playing some songs that I wrote. I'm sidetracking here. I was playing some songs I wrote, new songs for the videos. I was doing that. It took so much time, and I just felt like I was falling behind. Maybe I could do it better now that I can go a little bit faster with the editing. But anyways, the third veil is about understanding what's going on in the second veil, like who is really kind of pulling the strings there. And tell you what, man, you're going to spend some time here too. You don't really need to know a whole lot about it in detail, because the answer at the end of the day is the solution. One of the biggest root causes that we need to solve, right? It's this problem where really rich people can spend a lot of money and control almost everybody without them even knowing it. You don't need a plan. You don't need people coming to the meetings, and you don't need hidden organizations of people like that. They're going to form on their own. They'll form on their own underneath the idea. You don't have to do anything but push them in that direction, and they do it on their own. Remember all the things that we learned recently about what went on in the Trollverse, right? That has purpose. There's a reason why that's going on, and it's not just the fact that people are retards or something like that, or they don't have nothing to do, right? That's a shortcut to thinking when you cut yourself off like that. Because hey, yeah, think that of me, and then watch me go, right? Ask me if I bluff, right? That watch me go. You'll never touch me, right? That's the truth. That's where these people are. There's still people out there today that were part of the crisis actor Sandy Hook narrative, right? And that was created right here, right? And people were like, well, okay, yeah, those people are just crazy, right? Those people are so crazy that they made a huge falling out of it and divided the base of the right and discredited so many people that would have normally voted constitutionally, or at least try to say, hey, somewhere inside of these people, they're against corruption. Somewhere inside of these people, they see a problem. They're not that retarded, right? They're just trapped. A lot of them are just trapped, and then a lot of them are grifting them, and a lot of them cycle of abuse. Yeah, a lot of them are abusing them, and that's really what it comes down to. Let's put it all together real quick, right? We have the subversion. The subversion is overall, right? And we talked about why that is. They get people young, right? And they change the way they see things, the way they think, right, into the way they want them to. That's the overlying method of influence. You subvert the young and the culture, eventually culture, right? So you subvert the young, which leads into subverting the culture. I'll fix this in a second. A lot easier to remember all this stuff when I write it down, isn't it? You sort of see the madness here. All right, hold on. All right, let me fix that because it'll drive me crazy. There's the method right there, right? Subvert the young leads into subverting the culture, and that leads into this control, right? It's just all about control. Like when you see when we roll out of here, you'll see that this is about control, and exploiting these things in us in order to do it. Gonna move this over here. All right, get big. There we go, and this can go away. Look at this. I'm just cleaning up right on the spot. All the OCD people in the audience are just so happy that I'm doing this right now. All right. So if you know this formula right here and you know these things exist, think about what you could do, right? So for a generation, my generation, right, taught that corporations were the problem, taught that socialism was the solution, taught that the Republicans were the bad guys, that they were the eternal heels, right? That they just wanted to control you and take away your rock and roll music and make sure that nobody had any fun, right? That was the impression that we were given in my generation, in high school through college, through movies, through attitudes, through education. All of it was there. Music was all there. Though a lot of metal music was like really anti-establishment. I think that's where I got a lot of the stuff. Because I was a metal kid, rock and roll metal kid, turned rock and roll metal reggae kid, and then grunge. And then by the time I got done with college, I was sliding into the jam band scene as it was rising, slowly rising above with a band called Fish, right? And from the Grateful Dead side. They were the East Coast jam band of all time, right? And then of course you had the Southern rock going on down the Capricorn Records people, the Allman Brothers, and then eventually Widespread Panic and the rest of those guys, right? So, anyways, metal was definitely anti-establishment, definitely anti-war. There's a lot of songs about war and weird stuff like that, and how awful it was. We were definitely war-minded, anti-war kind of people back then, and we should be, right? That sucks. But subvert the young, and you'll subvert the culture. Here we go. Okay. And so if you understand that, right, then you're doing that right here. Okay. And then for all the people who woke up eventually or decide or have the type of personality that just can't stick in this area, they're anti-establishment minded growing up. They listen to the wrong music. You got the second veil to catch them, right? Oh, welcome to the second veil, where UFOs and the Galactic Federation of Light exist, where the veils of the government coup and back then it was like the militia in the government, or the militia and the good people in the military, and of course all these dudes online that just randomly picked to be their messengers, right? But yeah, we'll believe all that, and then then there is also the just you can throw flat Earth in there. You can throw anything that's going to take you and steer you into a corner and let you sit there for the rest of your life. And if you look across the internet at my dear friend and what he's doing and what he's talking about right now, all these people have been here the entire time. In fact, they have been there so long. They're now part of keeping people here. They're now part of what's going on with this. They're now the useful idiots of the second veil. And the thing about Mr. Monty, is that him himself he's not, in the bigger scheme of things, nobody. It's just another dude who just happens to have the personality and the fortitude, the tenacity to do this job, to be somebody who is out in front, reeling people in. He's reeling people in right now that have never even thought of it. People, innocent people, really. It's okay. It's what he does. It's cool. I was thinking today, there's been all this effort to get rid of him. Maybe he is part of the balance that's going on in the world. Maybe he's necessary. Maybe what he does is necessary in a way. I really started to back down my own ideas. I do this all the time. Like I'll sit there and challenge my own ideas. And I'll say, you know, all this effort, maybe that's the reason why he's lasted so long. It's like he needs to be there for some dumb reason I don't understand yet. But maybe that's the purpose of what it is. Maybe that's why nobody has been able to stop him. And he's so really damn confident about what he can do. It ain't because he's right. He knows he's not right. I can tell you that. There's no way he could have gone this long and claimed to have been the architect of the Sandy Hook Crisis Act. Or God dang, that's a big moment on the channel right there when that was confirmed. I never saw that during my research, but it was a big moment because that's what started us down this road. So right there, the answers we set out to get, we got. You know, at least I did. The 10 years ago when we were fighting that information every night that they were putting out and keeping people from falling into these holes I'm talking about, and wondering where the hell it was coming from and why it seemed so organized and how come it all looked kind of the same and kind of that really edgy, kind of weird look, but not real. And it just was people just bought into it so easily. I didn't know half this stuff back then, right? I didn't know half this stuff. I had this attitude. I got that came 10 years ago, but I didn't know half this stuff. And then I learned this. I learned Yuri stuff. So 1, 2, and then I learned these. I didn't really know the depth of this at all, the second veil at all. I didn't realize how deep it went and how long it went and really how dangerous it was. It goes into other things. It goes into schools like Elon, right? It goes into this troubled teen industry. Hey, guess what? Guess what happens in troubled teen industry? Subvert the young. Right. But where do these kids go? Where do the kids that are in the TTI go? Right. They go right here. Most of them. Well, I mean, the ones that escape and become good people don't, but the ones who get groomed into it, they're supposed to go right here. That's what it's for. Reveal, right? There's your reveal. There's one of the biggest reveals. Think about what I just said. These schools, and we all wondered why this massive abuse has been going on at these schools, and how do they get away with it, and why all these people, complicit in it, right? Why do people like Jeff Block and Mark Babbitt? Why were they treated this way? How did they end up in these places, right? Because they needed people like that who were already troubled, who already had problems. They needed to feed into it more, really break them down. So you have the Joe Richies of the world that come out and they create these schools. And how do they last for so long? How do they get away with it? Why didn't anybody shut it down? Starting to see the answers? If not, let me kind of elaborate for you. Yes, it is. Sorry. Thank you for being patient with this answer, because I'm looking at one screen and another, and I just saw that it was a question. When in reality, it's part of the balance. Good versus evil, right versus wrong. Monty has a place in the mix, indeed. Yeah, I agree. You know, and so that's another answer too, right? A lot of the answers were like, why? Well, why? And does he know it? I don't know. I think that he just gets the grace of being that guy. But hey, I tell you what, I'm gonna tell you some stuff at the end. I'm not gonna get to it yet, but hang tight, because we're gonna get there, and you're gonna see things a little bit differently when I do. I think you will. And I'm going to tell you that all this information came from reliable sources, and no names. I'm not going to go into any names about any of this stuff, any players. I just want you to get the concepts and understand that they exist, because the names don't matter. They're everywhere. So many that you can't even imagine it. It's for researchers like me to know the names. And it doesn't, I'm not even, believe me, I'm saying this out loud. I'm not even going to probably go far past the concepts, because the concepts are what's important. Understanding how the method works, right? And then creating a solution to remove the enablement. Remember, we don't attack. I mean, attacking isn't going to do anything. Import China to 3. If you I say that, and there's a lot of people that have an issue with them, but I saw his story unfold, right? I don't know really what he got into before. I just know his dad was something. His dad did something, got on the radar, got identified, located, and smeared, right? And he stuck up for him. I don't know if he was. I don't know the rest of it, right? And it's not important for the conversation, but it drove him. I think it drove him a little insane, because he was out there putting this information out, trying to raise awareness, trying to get people involved, trying to end the problem. And I think at the end of the day, he just wanted Monty to stop spearing his dad. He probably would have gone away if Monty had done that. Monty didn't. He didn't want to do it. He didn't want to do it. I don't see why not. I mean, just should have just done it. Who cares, right? But I guess it was important to him for some reason at the time. I mean, you would have had the cat after case. He was, but it didn't matter. He's like he had to stand on principle, right? His principle. But yeah, if you stay in that stuff long enough and you try to fight directly with them, the whole game is made to make you go insane. The whole game is made to make you chase your tail, to make you have to go look at this again and have to go look at that again. I got a taste of it, and I tell you, the taste is bitter. You don't want it, and that's why again the documentary. I mean, not documentary. The last of the series took so long to make is just like, I kept going and having to chase my tail a little bit. Luckily I got smart and figured some things out and said, okay, well, that's what we need right there. That's good. But he kept going. He didn't have that luxury. But unfortunately, a lot of the information he put out over the time and stuff like that isn't evergreen. If he was here, I would say to him, man, walk away from it. It's just, I know, but there's bigger fish out there, which we're going to talk about, more dangerous fish out there. I'm going to talk, because you fell into this, because he did this to you, that you got to deal with these people. And that's what happens, right? You keep going too far, you get into the really sharky waters, man. And that's not where you want to be. And he seemed like a really nice guy at first. Maybe he seemed like a kind person. I don't know him. People who have been burned by him or slandered by him don't think that way about him. I'm just saying what he used to be. I mean, hey, we were all born innocent, love, and light. So if you think of him that way, you can see this little kid who loved his dad, and you're not seeing all the mistakes and all the corruption and all the conditions he was in that made this thing happen. I just see that little kid, and I hope that he takes care of himself and finds a way out of out of this, so he can just burn it down, walk away, find a new place to live, and enjoy your life, man. I wouldn't even go back. I'm not telling you to quit if it's in your heart, man, but I'm just like, you really, really worked hard, man. They really did drive you kind of down that road. You know what I'm talking about, because I watched the videos. I watched the descent. I watched where you were trying to bargain with them. Right. I watched the anger. I watched the depression, and the acceptance was good night. I'm not going to be in front of this anymore. And probably a lot of it had to do with the fact that there was an unsavory consequence to his interaction. So I don't want to get into his personal business. I just saw him on the road. Like I saw him in his work there as I went down this road, and I realized what had happened. And it was a good warning sign. It was a good signpost for me, to say, hey, yeah, guess what? We all have the same brain type, like we all have the same flaws. We all have the same loopholes. You could fall into this too. And I didn't ever want to do that. That's not what we're about. We're just going to get the answers and get out. So that's what we're doing. But, I hope that he just, I'm gonna leave it there. Okay, but others people have too, right? Down the road, and it's gone badly for them. So let's get back to this. I feel like I tangented there for a second. The troubled teen industry, Elon, and Second Veil. The Second Veil has all these places that that people fall into, and you call it, degenerates or whatever. You can call them whatever you want. They're people, and they've gotten into this place not by accident. It was there for them to fall into, and either they were recruited into it or groomed into it, right up here in one of these places, because the culture itself that had been subverted directed them in this direction. Let's talk about rap music. Many people don't know this about me yet. When hardcore gangster rap hit, okay, I was definitely in my hometown, and really the probably the most race war-ish kind of things I've ever seen in my life happened during that time in my hometown. That's where everybody's attitude changed. Everybody's getting along fine, and all of a sudden it was gangster, this, gangster, that. It's like, well, the kids from Norfolk would come down and they would jump us, man. I've been jumped twice in my life because I was white. Did you guys know that? Well, actually, I'm black. Sorry, spoiled the surprise. No, but seriously, because of the color of my skin, and not just by one person. I mean, first time it was three people. The second time it was four, and it was just walking around downtown at the beach, just doing my thing, and it wasn't, even barely telegraphed that it was happening. The first one was, I got out clean on that one. Uh, the second one, not so good, but not so bad. You know, my friend though that was with me, he got the worst of it. But it was just because it was in broad daylight, right in front of everybody. That's when horseback cops were like brought in because of where we were. Every military that we have and every armed forces unit is represented in Virginia Beach, Tidewater area, and so we had a little extra security, a little extra kind of advanced notice on things, right? The horseback cops were one of them. The other one was like cameras and stuff like that. They're very rudimentary cameras, but the use of those kind of things. But we also got lucky and got the first of kind of really racial wars things. And the antagonist, the model is the same, right? The kids were subverted into thinking they were gangsters, and then it was cool to be someone like that. And who were the targets? Those guys, right? And because they're the ones who made us have to turn to crime. That's the way they sell it, at least, to them. It's not the truth, but it's the way they sell it. And then, so who pays for it? The people that were walking around downtown at the bars, in their eyes, that's where it went. Well, before that started, there was this thing called Greek Fest. Okay, Greek Fest was when black colleges came to Virginia Beach. They come down from like the north, and they'd have a good old time, and it went on for years with no problems. And then gangster rap started, right? Eazy-E and Dr. Dre. And I was down there. I loved it at the time. I didn't have any idea what subversion was or what it would do. To me, it was just music, and it sounded cool. They rhymed good. I liked the way, it's interesting, right? You kind of start to get into your head about it. You kind of start to imagine yourself like being rapper or whatever. I was never heavy into it, but I did like it at one point. And then when that hit, suddenly the courage to come all the way from people that weren't in college, to come all the way from Norfolk and kind of invade their space of these college kids, mingle in, mix in, and then start trouble started, right? So I remember the day, I think I don't remember how old I was at the time, but I knew I was getting close to go to college. And my dad came in and said, "Don't go down to the beach tonight." I'm like, "What are you talking about?" Because the kids are going crazy. They're throwing bricks through windshields, and they're robbing 7-Elevens and gangs, and like a big mob goes in there and takes everything and leaves. I was like, seriously? But this is back in the early 90s or something, then they came down there. They shut down cruising. So cruising had been this cultural thing at any beach town where you would go down there, and it was a lot of fun. You just go down there in a truck, or usually people had the big wheel trucks back then, the big giant wheels, and you would just cruise the strip, and you'd see people like, "Hey, what's up? Hey, what's up? Hey, what's up?" It was fun. And that came way back from the day when my dad was doing the same thing down there in his whatever classic cars, and you socialize, right? And people were just driving around, looking at each other's cars. It was cool. They closed the strip. There's no more cruising, right? The next year they changed the name of it to Labor Fest, and the same thing happened again, only worse. Right. And then they said no more. They said, get out. Right. So what they did is they came down to Atlanta. And I don't know if they made a stop in between, but they came to Atlanta and they started calling it Freaknik. And then, what do you know? You're 10 years, 5 years later, I'm living on Piedmont Park after the bomb went off at the Olympics. I know I'm tangenting here, but I want you guys to understand the influence of this music and what it did. It really did have an impact. And so I hope you find that story interesting. We're going to get back to the big reveal here. I promise you that, but I hope you find the story interesting, because the more I thought about it, the more I realized how important it was in terms of attitudes and where it was all started, right? And how they kind of got this us against them mentality, because the 80s and 90s, everybody was we were getting along, the 80s at least, everybody got along in the 80s. Everybody got along pretty good in the 90s, right? Unless you were kind of like fell into that gangster mentality. But they were setting people, what were they doing with rap music? They were setting kids up, young kids up for a life of crime and a life of, incarceration. And so who benefits when there's that going on, right? Well, probably the people that, I don't know, who did they have private prisons, maybe? I don't know, something like that, right? So there's this other system that's going on that's also kind of feeding into this, right? And that is the like the prison industry, right? And people have heard about this. This is not news, right? But the rap music kind of set this up. So culture, subverting the young, subverting the culture, starts feeding into these two things, right? Prison industry and troubled teen industry. So these two industries where people like Joe Ritchie become millionaires start coming to life, right? I mean, we don't even see this going on. Parents still don't even know that these things are, this is a gimmick, you know, that this isn't, in a lot of places, this isn't a legit thing. You know, you have the Elons, you have the CDs, you have the other facilities. There's still ones out there. They're still happening, right? Why are they still happening? We're going to get to it. But think about this. Well, where do these people go when they get out? They're not going to believe this stuff. They already know that that's bogus, right? And plus they've been trained. They're somewhat anti-establishment in a sense because of the music saying, you know, screw the man, right? Well, the man's right here. So this is feeding into this. So these start filling up with people with the stories, and of course, there's a lot of people that escape. They become fine. They just are aware of these things. They're like, no, I'm buying my own business. I'm out of here, right? And some of them fight it and become, hey, I'm going to go back and make this thing right. And let me see. Let me change this here. Let's just say like we're going to get over in here. I want to change this a little bit into activism. All right. So this is an awareness of this, right? That's the best I can describe it. Really, I tried to find this video that I saw like 10 years ago that had this really cool way of describing it and say, well, this is the idea that, you know, really the first veil is the establishment narrative. That the next second one is the left-right paradigm. The third one is something else. But I think we'll just put that here. I kind of put the first veil and the left-right paradigm in the same place now. I think that's the way it is, but it never really stops. I mean, it's still going on. One loss on the right on the GOP, and this thing goes right back into action. Like Mitt Romney, you know, neocons, whatever, right here, false left-right paradigm, right? Because this gives you the illusion of choice. This is the heels versus the faces, right? So you have the paradigm, yeah. So you have this going on, right? So we're born into this. We're born into thinking good guy, bad guy. Good guy, you know, we go to college, we go, yeah, good guy, bad guy, right? And unless you have base parents, you're not gonna escape that. You'll go to college, and you know, people will be like, well, why do you like that? Or those people are weird because they like this. That's the way it was back in my day, at least. So okay, so you have this going on here, but you also have we know this is where the conspiracy theories and everything are. So we got the David Icke, the lizards people, the everything's going to happen bad. End of the world's coming. You got Gaia, the Gaia people, the Project Disclosure people, the UFO people, the Galactic Federation, the light people, the flat earthers, the NASA's fakes people, the moon landing's fake people. You got all that shit happens right there because guess what? I'm smart now. I don't watch mainstream media, so I know everything. I just listen to these guys. Oh, who's giving them their information? Sure did, right? He claims that, you know, people like that. And like, where does he get it? That's the question I always wanted to ask him. But, you know, probably would tell me he came up with himself. I have no idea. But I'm pretty sure that that some information was kind of either whittled down or became just like, this is my gimmick, this is my grift, this is my grift. Because they're grifting. They don't believe the stuff they're telling you. You think that Drake Kent Bailey believes that he is teleporting to different planets to blow them up with his mind? Do you think that he believes that when he's telling people that? No. He's giving people the idea that there's something bigger and badder out there than this world that they're hopeless in, and it's been so cruel to them, and that needs to go. Right? These people are going to come and save us. Right? That's what he's doing. He's basically a Devil Kuiper preacher that you know, sold the idea of a plan originally. He's the original Q, the plan, right? He was the one that said red light, green light. We go with this, the militia and the secret people in the military who are tired of it. They're patriots. They're going to come and we're going to get the signal, and then we're all going to go, because he didn't know where we were going. And then he involved the aliens, and that kind of just like blew his whole gimmick, right? So the people that came later on figured that out. Now, those people will debate me, and maybe I don't have all of it right. But the gist of it is this: if you don't know this is here, you'll fall into it and you'll never get out. So I was saying to someone, like, for what it's worth, Monty is a big player and everything, but he's a veil inside of a veil. Like, if you don't know him and you don't like step through it, you'll never see any of this stuff, right? You won't see a lot of it. Maybe you'll get there another way. But and as far as people here go, it's like I was surprised at how much information was there once I looked. I was like, oh my God, where did all this come from? And holy shit, this really goes back 10 years for me to just the good work trying to keep my friends from falling into this bullshit. So we're gonna leave this here for now, and we'll come back to it. But I want to talk about let's see where we at. Okay, I want to talk about. Thanks everybody for hanging in there and listening tonight. I appreciate it. Let me pay attention to you. Hey, Lady Adam, how you doing? Let me pay attention to the chat for a second. Charlemagne, how you doing, man? Thank you guys so much for being here, and thank you guys for being members. I hope you're enjoying the videos I'm putting out. Let me mark where I'm going here. All right. I hope you guys have liked them. I put up. Look at this. I'm leaving a comment up like forever. I have my I have something in front of the screen, so I need to move it. All right. I'm gonna take a drink here, and how you guys doing, man? I hope you like the content that's coming out. You guys will be the first one to hear the songs. I'll tell you that. How about that? You guys make it happen. I think about you every day. I do. I think about you every day. I'm like, what can I do for these guys today? What would make them laugh today, or what would be informative to them today? When you become a member of the Winner's Circle, you are treated like a royalty around here. That's for sure. You get the front row seats at the show. You guys are sitting in the front row. And thank each and every one of you for inspiring that in me. I'm blessed to know all of you. Oh, that's great. I don't know what that is, but I'm sure it's something awesome. That's what it is, man. Being light. Bring the light. Bring the light. Light of truth, the light of love, the light of empathy, all the things that brighten the world. I've ever told you guys that, I think of the whole thing, the whole idea of being made in God's image as well. I just thought one day to myself, I was like, well, you tell me there's God's a human, like I'll put it up somewhere. I think that's why people get so confused about it. I would think that someone from the 11th dimension wouldn't need a body. And that if we were made in his image, it was probably the image of light. It's probably a little bits of light, right? Don't you feel that way? And don't you feel like all this stuff that you're looking at right here is just a mechanism to dim that light and to darken it and to abuse it and to absorb it into this darkness? And, that's the battle between light and dark. I really can't just get past thinking of it that way anymore. Now that I've thought about it, that, our mission, if anything here, is to keep our lights bright so we can find our way home and then return again and enjoy this place one more time, if it's still here. Or maybe we come back. I don't think that we ever come back with any knowledge of our previous life. I think we're just another energy that's fueling another life with this awesome brain that's it's flawed but beautiful, and this experience that we get from birth to death. How we build our minds and our knowledge, kind of like the AI, right? I'm going to talk about AI tonight because there's quite an interesting conversation that went on last night of a very very fearful man, very confused in the knowledge, but also I could tell that he was. I'm not going to get into who it is, or I'm not going to get into the details, but I could just tell that what was driving him was fear. And the aggression was like and fighting against it because that's the only thing. But then when you broke down what was really being said by him, there was no really context to it. Like he's calling one AI sentient when it was never designed to do that. There's it just doesn't understand what it yet. But that's how people learn, right? I was in the mood to play games last night, not fight, but so no games for me. The AI, right? The AI is like so much like us, and we can learn from that, and we can we're gonna do something on Tech Reality Tuesday next week, and we're gonna we've been encouraging people. Hey, look, take this into your hands. Don't let other people control it. It's gonna happen. Don't let other people control it. They're like, well, this is the reason because here we are back in the second veil. There's a reason because that's how they do this and that. I say, I read the white papers. It's like, dude, I get it, right? But who funds it? Okay, guess what? None of this happens if it's not funded. None of this dirty stuff. But this doesn't happen if it's not funded. This doesn't happen if it's not funded, right? And all this subversion doesn't happen if it's not funded. So really, at the root, if you want to remove the enablement, you got to remove the funding. The funding is what's giving it the energy to exist, right? And then over the course of generations, we can get the stuff out with education. We can remove it with education, but we can't do it if there's there's this one dude over in this other country that keeps shoveling money like that, our money, back at us to actually just destroy our children. Like that has to be the root cause. I mean, screw all the people that have already been affected. They were born the same as us, most of them. And there's probably a few in there that weren't born all that light and all that love, but most of them are just corrupted by other people. They would have played with you on the sandbox and probably been really nice at one point. You never know, but abuse is abuse, and people turn into what they turn into because of it. Corruption's corruption, and you have to fight it. You have to stay in the light, right? That's why we stay in the truth, because the truth keeps us in the light. That's why we carry the light of truth with us. People say, what's all that behind you? That's you guys. What's behind you? That's you guys. What am I carrying in the thumbnail? That's the light of truth, man. I carry out in front of me, so we're all part of that. It's not just me. It's winning reality is just an idea, but it's an idea whose time has come. Like in terms of being solution minded, leading with truth, calling out the world for what it is, being okay with changing our minds and growing. Being okay with saying, hey, I learned. I used to be in the second veil, and for sure, because you don't know it's there when you get out of this. You think, oh my gosh, look, here's the truth. Oh, okay. Oh yeah, it makes sense. And you maybe do a little bit of research, but you're still learning. You still have a long ways to go there. Anybody who gets out of this and goes, oh yeah, I got it figured out now. Yeah, they're going to be stuck right here unless they happen to run into someone who's convince them to, hey, take a second look, and that's why I say always revet your sources, always revet your ideas, walk through these stages again, right, with yourself. Make sure that in these stages, make sure that you're not just doing this, right? You're not doing this. You're not surrounded by anything that's making you do this, right? You can know if you're here by knowing if this is happening to you. If you're just in denial, you're confirmation biased, you're satisfied with the old guy who's screaming into the mic on a YouTube channel telling you all this stuff, right? Okay, oh yeah, he's so smart, you're so smart, you can do things and stuff, right? You never look into it, and you never dig deep, and you never go back into the past. You'll stay right there. Oh yeah, this is perfectly normal. You might as well be here. This is more fun. This is where all the fun is, just stay there. Be happy-go-lucky, man. Go out, have a good time, enjoy it. Nothing's going to happen. Nothing bad can ever happen, right? That's what the people over here think, right? People over here think the world is ending. People over here know what's going on, that it's just a round and round we go. That's why I say I've been waiting 20 years for the world to end, and it very well could. Oh God, the dollar collapsed, man. That scared the shit out of me. I had man, when my son was born, it scared the shit out of me. I was not ready for any of that, and or learning any of this, right? Suddenly I'm like, holy shit, what if the dollar collapses and I got this baby, and oh my God, what if they set off an earthquake and rip the country in half so they could put their superhighway in for the new world order? I mean, you find all that stuff right when you get out, man, and you're looking for anything. You're open, you're subjective, because you've just rejected a lifetime of belief. You've just said, oh my God, I'm not going to believe anybody anymore. And then you meet these guys, you're like, oh yeah, I believe that. Yeah. Galactic Federation Light is going to come save me. I know it's hard for some people to accept, because if you don't know the second veil's there, you'll think that you're just, you're free, right? As you go down the road, there's more of them. Some people, at the end of the road, there's like this, if you're religious, it's Luciferian and Luciferianism versus humanity, basically, or Christianity. There's a God devil thing. I start to do mine a little differently at that point. What's important, right? What's important for us to know to actually be effective humans and changing the world and implementing solutions? At a certain point, it's like, okay, there's the cycle of abuse, right? And then there's the then there's the good and the bad, right? morals versus immoral, right? You have that, so you can call that, that veil, that God devil veil, right? If you want to, it's whatever works for you, man. I'm not criticizing people who see it that way, because that's a great way for you to understand the same thing, right? It's just the way that I put it out there. So don't take it as anything but just my version of it. You have your version too, but just put them in the right spots, and then light and dark. See, that's the death or rebirth, death or life kind of thing for me. And that gets deeper. We'll hit that later on. But the cycle of abuse is a big one, right? Because that fuels all of this. And behind all this is that cycle of abuse. So you can spawn out and make cultural changes like the Me Too movement, where it's like the Narcissist Protection Club, and people are like, yay, or the let's wreck your kids in school club, yay, right? It all makes sense because it's so good, because we're helping people with it, right? And all they know is what they've been told, that you people were responsible, and now you got to make up for it, and you people were victimized, and now it's time for you to get yours, right? You deserve it. That's never going to work out, right? It's never going to work out. So what happens? People break the laws when they're young. People break the laws when they're old, right? You want to get rid of police brutality? Get rid of this. You know, uh, I don't want to. I would never censor music, but hey, educate on music. My son, I told him this is what rap music does. He knows the stories I just told. This is what it does. And so when he listens to it, he can listen to it and go, yeah, that's not going to influence me. I'm not going to become that. I don't want to be that, but I like the beat. Okay. Now you can actually appreciate it for music. It's not influence you anymore. It's not going to, make you feel like you got something to go out and commit a crime to, because you're just like, uh, you're so held down. You're so discriminated against, or, you need to do something for somebody else because, somewhere down the line, you feel like you're responsible for, their condition. It's not the way it works. We all move on generation to generation, and everyone's life is theirs independently, right? Their experience is theirs independently. There's 1,000 paths to the same point. You can all walk a different path, a different route, and still be on the same path and end up in the same place. Like us, all of us here today. We all have walked different paths to come right here, right now, to be hearing this information and hanging out together and enjoying each other and learning from each other and becoming friends and trying to make the world a better place. And what will happen naturally once we achieve our own balance, for then we attract others that want to know how to be happy and balanced. That's right. And acceptance. And we know that nobody's perfect, but we're all trying to fight for that balance every day. And that could change a lot of things. It could change people's perception sometimes. But if you can look at it and say, I can see, I hear what they're saying. They're kind of out of balance right now. They're a little out of balance. They're just trying to find it. Have that conversation with them. Just, whatever, however it works for you, if you really want to do it. And, or, just support them as they go through it. Some people are aware of it. Some people aren't. Some people don't need to be aware of it. And, but, support, love, understanding, empathy. I should write that down. That's one of my big ones too. Like, I'll never grow tired of this one. I really think I don't think it's possible to kind of like implement it on such a mass scale. Maybe I'm wrong. But I think it's a good mantra to keep in your mind. It's like empathy can save the world. It's true, man. I really think it's true. That's because that's what gets sucked out of you here. Your morals go down. You don't value life as much, right? That's a knock on your empathy. You're corrupting children earlier. You're stealing their innocence. All right. With that, you have to learn how to hang on or refine your empathy for others. The rap music, the violence, the things like that. Yes, you have to protect yourself in this world. Yes, there's going to be conflicts, right? Nothing's ever going to be perfect because it's got to be a balance, right? There has to be this balance. Nowhere on this board is there balance. This is how I've always thought of it. I'll just put it out there like this. I've always thought of it like this. I'll put it on this side. Put it right here. I always called it this, but I didn't think people would get it at first. Why Maybe that's just how the 3D world works, man. We have duality. Everything has to have an opposite or a backside to it, right? Or else it doesn't exist. How can you compare love if you don't have hate? How can you compare moral if you don't have immoral, right? We can never wipe out the things that we hate completely. We have to balance them. The universe demands balance. If we're trying to solve anything, it's an imbalance, right? We solve the imbalance that one person can create or one group can create by just owning the resources or being able to manipulate people by knowing these things about people, being aware of them. Most people probably know some of this stuff, right? You probably heard of the stages of grief, or I call it, the stages of almost everything. But it's like you probably knew about these already, right? You're aware of them, but you're aware how powerful they are. Are you aware how powerful these buying decisions are? The buying decisions, every piece of marketing you get is set up with this. Now, you're going to see this from now on the rest of your life. All right. When you get an email and you sign up for somebody, doesn't matter who it is, right? You sign up for a product, or maybe you've never heard of it. You get solicited, right? Okay, you're a B2B person, and you're getting a solicited for a office product that's going to help your office. Maybe it's just, hey, have this cube here does AI for your business. Plug it in, and you program it, and you work with it, and then it can start to do these things for you, right? In fact, we might be talking about that next week on Tech Reality Tuesday. I think Mr. Space Power Monkey found something that looks pretty cool, because we're going to teach people to build their own AIs, to own their own thing. Don't let them tell you what it is. If you're scared they have biased AI, you can build your own based AI. That's what I say, because eventually they're all going to integrate with each other to this one main point. And if that information's out there, they'll have to consider it if it's intelligence. Then you'll know if it's really intelligent or not, right? But then we have to keep the AI in the second veil. Oh no, right? Then this whole world goes into that, right? But if you know how these work, right, you'll see the research. You'll see your first 2 emails will be like this: awareness. Hey, did you know about this? Oh, hey, did you know about that? Have you ever heard of this? All right, awareness, right? And then you'll see the next one you'll get is research. And if you open them and click on them and click through and read the stuff in it, you get some points. And when you get to a certain point threshold, boop, you jump over here. Suddenly your emails change a little bit. And now you're like, wow, I'm glad you're considering this. You're considering a purchase here. Did you know that we're the only one in the market that has this product right now? Yes, some people are working on it, but they're way behind what we do, right? So if you're considering buying it, definitely look into us, because we are the top, we are the premier, and all this stuff right now, right? And then you got to, hey, you ready to buy? Hey, how about we just go ahead and do this? Hey, can I send a sales guy over to talk to you about implementing these servers? Boom. There you go. Everything you do is down this line of thought right here. And this could be applied to your beliefs too, by the way. Just recap there. When you talk about solutions, we have to go through all this to get to here, to get to this. And this is the biggie. Actually, this should be really big. There you go. That's the biggie. That's what we want. We want resolution. So if you want to change the world, we have to get through all these. Now, this is where we've been for a long time. To me, it feels like 10 years, right? We've been in awareness, and from awareness, people research. Sometimes they research very poorly, right? And sometimes they fall right into the trap, because guess what? If they know this, why wouldn't they set up this that way? They already set up this that way. The first one, totally, completely. Do you know that when we hear a new thing come out, right? It's awareness. Now they're trying to do this. Now they're trying to say this. Now they're saying men can have babies. Whatever you want to do, just go ahead and throw it out there. That's your awareness stage, right? That's your awareness stage. Now they're going to say, yeah, we've researched it and we found out that yes, you can definitely do this, and we just will cut you open and stick one in there for you, and then pretend it was already there, right? And they're trying to get you to a decision where you become acclimated to it, you become indifferent to it, or you become excited about it and want it, right? So that if they could do that here, why aren't they doing it here? They are, right? And who's doing it? Here we come. Ready? Drum roll. Right? Oh shit! I got a Slim Jim man. There we go. Who's doing it? Oh wait, hold on. Well, we can go all the way to the money, right? Definitely go to the money, because that's where you're going to remove the enablement. But wait. You think that they're thinking about it? Are they holding meetings in dark rooms? Are they maybe just handling things? Like who is the one that are getting people here. Well, we know music does some of it, right? We know there's outside culture, movies, all that stuff. Well, they have plans to do this, and this will do that, and that will do that, and then they wrote a paper about it. But no, think about it like day to day, like person to person. Yes, there's influence, but you can overcome the influence of media and song with a good moral upbringing, with with invested parents that are into your life and care about you and tell you they love you all the time, and show you the importance of the family that you're in and how that's who you are and that's where you come from, right? Those things can be overcome. So you need to have other people that are doing this for you. You can't just rely on the media to make all this happen. So what happens to the media gets shut down? It's all done, right? Plus, that's just one side of the coin there. Nope. You need to have other people, useful idiots, they call them. And the great thing about useful idiots is they don't know they're useful idiots, right? Well, maybe you can make a lot of money doing this. Maybe they fall into a grift. Maybe they really believed it at one time, and then they figured it out for themselves. But they were so deep into it they couldn't get out of it. What if that was the case? Or what if they had gotten themselves in so much hot water they couldn't run from it anymore? That everything pinned on it. Like they had under the beliefs that they were doing something remarkable, or they're fighting this wicked establishment over here, that they because the aliens are coming, or everything's a freaking staged event, with perfect production, and don't have to explain it because people are just going to buy into it because you are now the voice of truth, right? But in order to be that person, you have to be on top of this game, and then you have to have these people come and give you the money to, so they have to have useful idiots, and then those people become useful idiots. So I'll go into the chat and argue about stuff, and or I go here and I don't listen to any new information because obviously you've been you're being influenced by the Illuminati or something, right? Or you're a Freemason or whatever the fuck they want to come up with, right? Yes, there are bad people all over the place. Yes, there are people that are corrupt, and don't get me wrong, because that little nugget of truth will keep it real for them, because that's what it is, right? That'll keep them from thinking any further, right? Why go any further? You got it. You've already decided. Why become aware of new information? Why consider it? You already know everything because you're not there. That's the kind of attitude they take, right? They say, well, I'm your leader. All right. I'm the guy who I did this and I did that and I did that. You sure, you bet, man. And I got the whistleblower and I called this and I predicted that. And oh yeah, all that stuff, man. All that stuff, dude. And meanwhile, you don't know a damn thing about them really. And you can't figure out why they're doing what they're doing, right? But you'll follow them because they hey, now I'm doing it, now I'm bought into it, now I've told everybody that I believe that there are reptilian lizards everywhere, so nobody's really I can't really go, I have to go back and admit that I was wrong about that. No one's going to listen to me at that point, right? That you're now neutralized. If you were controlled here, you're controlled here, right? Unless you understand that's there. There is truth there. There is truth to be found outside of the first veil, for sure. But you must be aware that there are more people on this side than there are on this side manipulating you. And that's the hardest thing for people to kind of grasp, is that this. Oh Jesus, that's a big one. There we go. That this free area, this freedom, this free veil that they thought that they had found, right? That how in the world could they possibly be controlled and be useful idiots now? And there's no way. They know where all the information is. Now, who put the information there? They know where all this stuff. Well, it's this government. Oh, we trust the government, right? So, well, it's these guys. These guys are bad guys, and they do this, and they put everything in white paper. Yeah, okay, so what? I mean, it's great information, and yeah, eventually some of it does come true, and it's plans, right? But how much of it isn't? How much of it is just there to push you in the wrong direction because you're a smart person and you can figure things out if you had a chance? How much of it is there just to throw you off? How much of it is there to keep you down? All this fear with AI. Me and Space Power Monkey try to tell people, look, we're not fluffing it. We're not telling you there isn't hazards to everything that's out there. But once upon a time, there was this place called Kitty Hawk, North Carolina. And right next to Kitty Hawk, North Carolina, there's this place called Kill Devil Hills. I love Kill Devil Hills, by the way. It's a great place. They have great food. They have these awesome sand dunes. You can just go out on at night and run on them. I used to go out and run on them all the time. It's just flat pack sand at the front. You can run up and just jump, and you just fall into the soft sand. It's so much fun. Yeah, but you know why they call it that? Because when the Wright brothers were testing out their airplane, there was someone who was scared of flight and saying it was wrong and unnatural and against God, and they were yelling, "Kill the devil on the hill." That's why it's called Kill Devil Hills, because that's the part where they were testing it. Then they went to Kitty Hawk to actually take first flight. So, you know, the person who was over there in Kill Devil Hills in Dare County or whatever, I think it's Dare County. They thought that was the devil itself happening. That's just flight, just changed the world, just made the world a more connected place, took people places faster, cargo, all kinds of things, right? It changed the world, right? So did the internet. I remember when the internet came out, I was selling, I had this idea because I worked at this ISP startup, and I had this idea that we could sell websites there, right? And I was going to go to all the radio stations and say, we'll give you a free website if you just let us advertise on your radio station. The guys were like, that's brilliant, right? The only radio station of all the big ones in town I could get to do this free website. I'm just giving it to you. I'm giving it to you with this uncrowded internet access. It's going to fly for that time. It's going to fly on our T1. The well, it wasn't even T1 yet, was it? The only one that would do it was a Christian radio station, and they're like, "Oh, this looks good," and so they did it. That was it. Everybody else told me, "Well, we're not sure if it's going to stick around, or we don't know how productive it's going to be. It just seems like it's just for degenerate stuff. It's just for porn and all that shit." Oh yeah, it is. But they didn't see the potential in it, and they weren't first to market. Christian radio stations still around. The other ones have changed a bunch of times, but I'm sure they've gotten a different website by now. But you could be amazed how many people told me that. They're like, a free website? Nah. Free website and email addresses, I'll give you that. Free internet access, you can access it after work. You don't have to, we'll let you dial in. We're going to hook you up. We just want advertising. No, I don't know. We don't believe it. We don't know if the internet's going to stick around. This seems like a phase. Okay. That's how hard it was to give away the internet back then. I'm giving it to you. No. So people always get scared of new technologies, no matter what they are. They're worried about it. They say, "Well, dude, with these planes, man, they're going to be able to spy on us, and they're going to be able to cops are going to fly to our house and land on the roof and watch us." And I don't know. They worried about that kind of stuff, right? They worried about insulting God actually back then. The internet. Oh, it's just stupid. It's just like kid stuff. It just seems so dumb. We don't get it. It's dumb. Okay, you're out of business. AI, it's going to take over. It's going to become sentient. It's going to turn on the frogs. It's going to turn on the frogs gay or something. I don't know. I mean, it's just like, okay, how about if we get ahead of this and just create a solution? Like the solution is, we've been saying it forever about everything, including software in general, is open source, right? Well, a lot of people want open source. Well, what a better time to do that than now, right? What a better time to do that than now. Really push it, because you know what? When we teach everybody how to actually have their own version at their house where Google hadn't touched it and all these other people that you're scared of hadn't touched it, and it's doing great things for you, and it's making you ahead of the next guy, or it's helping you do your job better, it's going to happen. Do you want to buy it from Google, or do you want to have your own? Would you rather learn it now or get it from Google later, when you have to worry about, all the spying and all the, it's going to become sentient and eat my dog, all that stuff. You have to worry about all that stuff, right? Well, if your AI is badass, guess what? That Google AI ain't going to, be able to match up to it, is it? Of course, you need electricity and stuff, but you can actually do it. We're going to show you something that actually you can actually start kind of doing it now. Why not? Why not have your own lawyer in the house, or your own doctor in the house, or your own, all the jobs are going to be replaced. Make them have a family, because that's a solution. And then it's open source, right? So as far as keeping it from becoming a monster, let's keep it open source so that people like Space Power Monkey, who's been doing it for 10 years, right, can get behind it and in front of these problems. you know? And if you don't like the way that sounds, or you think you already made up your mind about this stuff, just remember the airplane. Just remember the internet, right? Just remember all the other times the world was supposed to end, right? And live your life again. Live your life again. Don't live in fear. Don't dim your light for these people. That's what they want you to do. That's what the second veil is about. It's about keeping you in fear, lowering your vibration, lowering your light, keeping you in this perpetual state of paranoia and stress, shortening your life, lowering your quality of life. You want a conspiracy? It's just a development, right? It's there. It's just there by nature. So where does the troll verse come from? It comes from here: doxing, swatting, all these bad things that happen to people from disturbed people. From here, where do they get these people? Well, they break them here, right? They can break them here. They can turn them into monsters right here, or they can turn them into monsters here, or they can turn them into monsters just from flat out disinformation. Just flat out disinformation. And who cares, man? Why mess with these people? Why even worry about it, right? Disinformation. Because you know what? My kid can't ride a bike down the street. You know what? My kid can't go out and play. He can't go out and play and meet kids in the neighborhood. That's why. Oh, that's okay though, right? That's okay. Well, let's worry about the AI then, okay? Because who cares? Most people who are worried about AI and not about what's going on with kids don't have kids. Well, you're gonna have kids one day. You better worry about it. Worry about it. Help. If you love kids, if you understand the importance of children, that they're the future, help us out. As parents, would love your help. I'd love to have my child, at least, maybe even just for a freaking week, enjoy the. If I can just get a week, I'd be, at least I could show them this is the way it used to be, kid. This is the way it used to be. Go out and come home when the lights in the street come on. Calling. You get to know your neighbors again. Hey, what's up? Hey, is he over there? What's he doing? What y'all doing, man? Oh, yeah, he can stay for dinner. Sure. Just let me know when he's on his way home so I can expect him. Okay. Let him be home by 8. He needs to do some homework or whatever. All right. Those good old days. Remember those good old days? Man, why? Why do our kids why do they have to live like this? And why aren't we doing anything about it? Well, we know why, right? They got us distracted. They got us in this whole, I'm sorry, I'm playing with these things. I shouldn't do that while I'm talking. It helps me think, actually. I'm kind of slowing down and focusing better. I kind of I do that judo a little if I'm in meetings so I don't fall asleep. Anyways, let me just move this down a way. There you go. There's more space. So anyways, yeah, that's why. And what about your grandkids? Are you gonna have grandkids? Do you have a niece? Do you have a sister or brother that are gonna have kids, and you're gonna uncle, aunt? How about them? What about their kids? What about your family? That's just the heritage. Your family is just fuck it. And it's are we actually going to try to normalize things? If you couldn't normalize childhood back to the way it was, what makes you think anything else is ever going to be normal again? Because why? We know why. We know why. It's right there. Subvert the young, subvert the culture. It just takes a couple of generations. That's what's going on now. This happened a couple of generations, and that's all it happened. That's what it is. It's just those people. And someone made a point the other night that the people that are being, it doesn't matter today, but I think who was it? One of the lawyers or somebody. Someone made an excellent point, and they said, well, it doesn't matter today, but those kids that are being affected by this, they grow up, they become the lawyers, they become the judges, then they do the rest of it, right? They plan down the road. We got to start thinking like that. I don't say become your enemy, but I'm saying counter your enemy. I don't say fight your enemy. I say remove the enablement from your enemy, right? The people that are trying to hurt you and to destroy this world and ruin the quality of life and dim your light, keep you from getting home one day, if you think that's the way it works, right? Hey, you know what? Who's to say they didn't write a lot of things back then? You know what? We fall into the establishment, the first veil. What else? I mean, they say religion is the real war going on is the religion, but you know what? How about controlled religion, right? How about the evangelical churches, and the there's all kinds of things. You got that, and then you probably have the culture over here. So you got controlled religion here. All right, so okay, I reject the control religion, right? What's next? Well, you need to feel included somewhere. Oh, hey, or this is the way. This is Gaia. This is the Galactic Federation of Light. All that stuff. That's cultish, right? You'd be surprised. I tell you what, the ex-Bullet did a great documentary. I wish she had finished it on Robert Cremo. And I'm telling her, if she's listening right now, I know she's not, because she never does. But she was right about. She was right. She was on target. Like, from everything that I understand now, she was right on target about that. Like, and she got a lot of heat for it. She should finish that. I hope when Robert Cremo goes to court, that everybody here pays attention to it. I already did request it. I already did request that people cover it, like, Ricada or Legal Mindset or whoever you're like. I hope everybody covers it. It's going to be monumental if they can actually get to discovery and flesh out a lot of this backstory behind this cult that he was influenced by through the music, again, through rap music, right? And that led him to do this. And it was a new age cult, right? And it was a new age cult that was connected to the New Wabians, I believe, or something like that, right? So she got all that right. And it's a shame that she kind of got run off by people who didn't want that information out. I guess, I don't know if she picked that fight or if they came and found her, but she certainly stopped. And her channel was getting taken down. She lost her YouTube. I'm not going to go into all that. We all know that. But the fact of the matter is that documentary, if you can go find it, and members, by the way, I believe it's in our member section. Like, I played the first and second one in there. So if you want to go find that, it's not on YouTube anymore, but you can go back and find the BX Bullet live streams I did early on, and you can watch the documentary. It's totally worth it. Totally worth it. Just discovered Wash, like, literally last night. Don't know who Benny is. I'm not sure who that is. What movie here? Middle ground. And when asked, is there a middle ground? Can we come to understand? He rightly said, no, there's not. Who's that? Who are you talking about? Hey, T-Rex, what's up, buddy? Woo, let's take a second. Hey, Sheriff. Don't follow with anyone doing the YouTuber shuffle. Well, yeah. I mean, I don't know what YouTuber shuffle is, but I don't think beware of law tubers. Oh, come on, man. Look, I get it and all, but they're not part of some plan, dude. There's dudes trying to make money, and they provide some kind of law. Like, I wouldn't know anything about the law, right? So if we watched the Rittenhouse case, man, that was like key. I learned a lot about self-defense I didn't know. I mean, dude, the lead attorney, I love the lead attorney, man. He's like one of my favorites. He saved my ass. He's the lead attorney. He's way up here. He's the best. Dude, I love the lead attorney. Dude, that guy's awesome, dude. I'd hang out with him anytime. He lives down here somewhere, man. I'll go hang out with him sometime, man. Anytime. And Kid he's funny, man. He's funny. I don't know. Do you think that they're up to something? I think they just want to make money. They're grifters to make money, man. We're all trying to at some point do it. I was going to ask you, dude, how do your videos do these days? You put out a lot of videos. Did they make money for you? Are they monetized? Are you monetized? I hope that you're getting something out of that. I really do. I think everybody wants you to get something out of it. But, man, talking about second veil, that's where you've been dancing the whole time, man. Right in here. And you know what I'm talking about. You know who these people are that are in there. And hey, by the way, let me add the other one in here. And hey, I'm not naming names. I'm just giving you the mechanisms, the ways, right? Because then you can find them for yourself, and you can recognize them when they come at you. But what else you got in here, right? You got you got these guys. Got these guys. And you got everybody's favorite. You got these guys. These guys. And then you got these guys. Yeah, they're all right in here, nestled in here, waiting for you, right? How about if we just skip the second veil altogether? Can we do that? It's possible. Like, some people do it. Some people just never get into them. But yeah, they're all right there. Sorry if that's small. Sorry, let me tell you. Yeah, it's a lot in one place. That's why I'm saying that this area right here is really easy to get snagged up and caught up in, right? Okay, I'll make this look better, and I'll send a copy out to the members, or I'll put it in a video or something so everybody has it. Because we're just doing this on the fly. I'll see what's going on here. All right. and I want this to be nice for everybody, so you have something. So hopefully by the end of this, you can take a screenshot. So what I'm revealing here is that you think that it's the guy on YouTube that's giving you you need to be careful of. And yeah, that's an influencer for sure, right? But who's giving him the information? Who's giving him the motivation? Who's giving him the space? And who's giving him the protection to continue? Now I know China to 3 had his idea about that. And I say, hey, look, there's a reason why a lot of this information is left up. Big deal about oh, we're gonna come down on these people and we're gonna take care of it for y'all, okay? And then nothing happens, or they back them up on the DMCA or the copyright strikes or whatever. So things that we've had to deal with, he's had to deal with. You got zero. You don't get any money. You really? Is it because they're so spread out, or is it because they just won't monetize you because of the content, or is it because it's copyrighted? Let me know, man. I'm really curious about that. Many of us still know what's right and what's wrong, and some of us can see where all this leads, and it's to places worthy of the title hell. Which, yeah. I believe that heaven and hell are places on earth. There's probably an afterlife version of it too, but isn't your life hell when you make the wrong decisions, or you have the wrong you continue to make the wrong decisions? How about people that have addictions? How about people that are in a troubled teen institute, like Elon? Wasn't that hell? They'll tell you it's hell. What about people that are dealing with these kind of people? Are they in hell? I think that hell could be a place on earth, man. Prison's hell, right? Wow, Jesus Christ, man. Get that, the things they talk about and what they're doing there, man. Forget that. That's hell. You can be in hell a lot of different times. I think it's just the decisions that we make. And that's why we need to have a moral base in the country. Whatever it is, it doesn't matter what it is, but people need to have a moral base, and you need to teach your kids to have a moral base, because that kind of avoids a lot of this stuff. If you know, hey, well, that's not right, or I don't want to be, I would never be part of that. I got a family. I have grounding. I have foundation. Or when I was young, my dad taught me how this stuff worked. Yeah, I know people that went there, but I stayed out of trouble because I didn't want to go to a place like this. Just those kind of things. If you know about it, if you have awareness, right, and you give research, then when something happens, guess what they're gonna do? They're gonna consider it, and they're gonna make a decision about it. They're not just gonna do it on impulse. It's funny. It's like the movies, or it's like the rap song "Tell Me." That shit goes away. It's because these things are missing, or there's not enough good influence for the child or the person, that these things are missed. It's like, oh yeah, great. Woo. Believe me, I'm speaking from experience. I'm not just sitting there. There's no stone throwing here, buddy. I'm saying that I'm lucky to be alive, in a lot of ways, and I'm lucky. I'm lucky I survived a lot of things, and it didn't have anything to do with the world around me growing up. It's just like, it's just you can easily make the wrong decisions when you don't have the information. And if you're being shipped around or locked up, or you're getting the wrong stuff or the wrong information, there's flags, son, or all that stuff like that. These things will be affected by that worldview that you've been given, that perception, right? And it's funny how many habits from here get adopted over here. How many things are similar once you understand what this is, what you're seeing. When you understand that these things are put there to trap you, and that the people that are telling you that it's real aren't necessarily part of the Illuminati. They're just other people that have been caught up in it, or they're grifters. They know that they're telling you the lies. I mean, too much, like I said, Drake, other people like that. Hey, China, did you ever hear of Drake Kim Bailey? See, now I never monetized with them. My channel is monetized, so I get traction, but YouTube doesn't pay out to anyone who beefs with the degenerate monetized YouTubers like Monograph and the Truth Bombers. Really? What do you mean? They don't pay you? You need to collaborate with the other partner channels and not work against them, or Google doesn't pay the independents. Oh, come on now. let's see who we got. Tweety, you're not monetized, are you? Everyone makes some decisions when they have minimal information. Correct. Absolutely. And when they're taught to that minimal information is good. They're taught that it's good. They're taught that you can just trust these guys. Come on, trust these guys, not these guys. They're weird. Look at them. These guys are almost a deterrent for leaving this area. I know people that are like, what, those weird conspiracy theorists? Not realizing that people end up here because they are somewhat intelligent in a way, or at least they have the ability to see through bullshit. That's a great sign of intelligence. They don't get there by accident. I guess some are born into it now, but they had something special about them, or something that kept them from getting stuck here and just living life. Maybe it was even a lack of success. I know there's a condition at the first video. I call it the happy-go-lucky condition, right? And you guys know these people. They've had it going on since day one, man. They had their shit together growing up. They had money right out of college. They got the jobs. They seem to just know all the right moves. And I got friends like that. And then I have a friend who's had 24 years of financial stability at the same company, making six figures. Can you imagine that? Most people don't have that happen to him. Why? Because his parents taught him the right way, and he's teaching his kids the right way. Like, about that particularly. But you know what? They didn't teach him. They didn't teach him about the rest of the stuff. So he's right here telling me that there's no grooming going on in schools. And then when I sent him a video of what's that guy's name? That I always forget his name because I hate him. Eric, it's not Eric Rudolph. Is it Eric Rudolph? I don't know. It's the guy who went to the school board meeting. It's in my video, the groom doctrinators, right? The guy that went down there and was bragging about being vaccinated and bragging about being LGBT and that you can't do anything. We're going to educate your kids the way we want to, and they're hungry for us, right? And then the next week, he's like getting arrested in a sting operation with his, obviously, the guy who groomed him, some older dude, and some other guy, right? So, yeah. So when they see that, they can't believe it, right? They think that that's you doing it. It's like, are you blaming everybody that's gay when you're clearly pointing out that the problem is these people? Because they're right here. They're happy-go-lucky. They can't change anything. They need to make sure, because if they leave this, they got to go here. They think they have to go here. So luckily, let's take a veil. I've pointed out a lot of things in here, but what I haven't pointed out yet is the good side, right? The good side. There's a good side to this. So let's put this guy up here. Oh man, did I really do that? So stupid. Well, it just looks stupid. There you go. All right, so the good side. There are good sides here. There is now there is, like back in the day, not so much, right? But slowly but surely, we start to have like the based. This is called the based info, right? The truth info, the real truth, not the truth of truth, the truth. So based info, right? And that's becoming very popular because you can tell when channels that are like, try to follow the truth, try to find the truth, believe the motto, right? Believe the motto. I'd rather know the truth than be right. Believe the motto. They have huge numbers, right? Do you guys think Mercator lies to you? I mean, he's not necessarily a news channel, but he is. He gives you the legal side of it. I think he tries his best to give the truth, man. I don't think he doesn't need to grift anybody. He just go on and drink liquor and people will pay him. And for super chats, read my super chat. That's his grift, right? But I think he's honest. I think he has a moral base, and I think he has a fun side to him too. I'm not here to fluff him, but I'm trying to tell you that there's another side to this where there's people like there's activist groups, like these guys. Well, they're not around anymore. So there's truth activist groups, right? That combat the other side. People like you and me, that are out there combating these guys over here, trying to at least negate their information or attract people that are coming out of here over into the based info, right? Hey, no. Don't go that way. Come over here, right? This is bad, right? This bad. Stand in the way. Put it down here. And you want to go based info section. That's where all the cool people are. All right. So, so there is a good side to this. And I'm probably you guys think of something, anything else? It's a lost cause to see that. What's a lost cause? With YouTube, truth is only the truth. The truth's truth on truth. Like if you follow a truth, it will lie. A truth to you is that's hilarious. Uh, um, Nick's is only honest if you give him like, oh really? Okay. See, hey, what's up, Alyssa? How you doing? Where's she at? Where you see her? Oh, there she is. Hi. Thanks for being here. All right. So no. Let's hear it. If nobody good stays on YouTube, where do they go? They get run off, or the YouTuber networks are yeah. Well, to 2016, I go back further than that. I go way back on that one. I go back as far as you can. Evidently, Web TV, you guys were hamming it up over there way back when, and there's all kinds of stuff that started over there, right? You know more about that than me. They get real jobs. I tell you what, man. Right now, I've got ideas going on that I'm doing in IRL for that is about YouTube. But you know what's really hot right now? I tell you what, dude. I'll give you a tip, dude. I don't know what you do, if you still work deliveries or if you have a new job or not. I'll give anybody here a tip, a hot tip. If you go do it, start tomorrow or as soon as you get the equipment. If you go do this, you'll probably be making money by the within 10 to 12 months on YouTube. Good money, like good money. Get yourself a lawnmower, a weed whacker, a leaf blower, and some other lawn tools, or a pressure washer, like a little wand and like a big mower kind of thing, and maybe some chemicals for algae on the side of the house. Go around to people's houses and be like, I'll do this for free for you. I just want to do it for free. And then I would put videos out. People like the transformation. You do that, these guys are getting 5 to 7 million views a video. Now, what does that translate to? Right? You got to think that it's a $2,000 to $1 ratio. That's where I gotta undercut it, but that's where I put it. So for every 2,000 views you get $1. Right? So what happens when you get 4 million views? $2,000. $2,000 to pressure wash the driveway? Hell yeah! I did 5 a day. You know, how much money do you make then? If you do that, have a niche, add a little music in there, maybe a little dancing. I don't know, whatever makes it work for you. There's so many different ways you can do it to up the game in that area. It's brand new, but people love to see the transformation. It's satisfying. It's the new thing is satisfying on the internet. I remember the first time my kids said that, like with something, I was like, where did everybody start needing to be satisfied about things, man? I never even thought about that stuff when I was growing up. But they're like, oh yeah, you know, everybody loves the satisfaction now. It's pretty cool. I mean, I'm honestly, I'm thinking about getting some power washers. I love doing like the power washer stuff. I love doing that kind of stuff, man. Like I would do it, right? I would like, get every little bit off. I'm not an OCD person at all, but for something about like completion, yeah, completion would be awesome. So hey, who's going to be the first millionaire to go out there and do that? I wouldn't mind being in Nick's position, a defunct lawyer with no working law firm that gets money thrown at. Yeah, who wouldn't? He wouldn't. He left being a lawyer because he's like, I can make more money doing this. Right? That. Take my advice. Don't become a vlogger, a YouTuber or Twitter live streamer. Okay, and Twitch, right? What a vlogger? Am I a vlogger? Am I vlogging? I have no idea. I think podcasting is going to be big, by the way, guys. I think shorts is going to die and podcasting is going to be the new thing. Call it a hunch. But podcasts do really well. And people will take a podcast and listen to it while they run. Can't watch the video, right? They'll listen to the podcast. I think I already have it in the top of the screen. Like you can like click down. It says create a new podcast. I don't know how they work. I've never done them, but the shorts, man. Anybody else doing good on shorts? I'm not. My shorts do terrible. I'm not going to put the schedule out on shorts anymore. Speaking of the schedule, right? I'm doing Tech Reality Tuesday next week, and that's it. I'm taking the rest of the week off to rebalance. That's what I'm going to do. Hey, man, I'm going to lead by example. I'm going to take my own advice. I know I know how to do this. I've done it before. That's what needs to be done. I just need to be like, boom, that's it. The whole drive to keep videos coming out and you're scared the algorithm's going to forget you and all that stuff. It's already forgotten me. You know, I'm talking to my peeps here, man. And I hope that we find more people. And I hope there's a way that more people come to bring the light with us, man, because you know, YouTube is not sharing my videos out very well. Who knows when they will? Hey, look, I'm paying my dues. In rock and roll, I had to pay my dues too. I slept on Motel 8 floors for rock and roll, man. I slept on dirty mattresses in abandoned rooms for rock and roll. I paid my dues. I played for nothing. I worked night and day to market and develop a system and a band, a company and stuff like that, or with the people with the company. And it's you. The guy I was doing it with told me, you pay your dues, you keep showing up, and something will happen. And it sure as hell did. And that's the way it is here too. I kind of tell my friends that are involved in are new creators, right? That this is like the music industry, right? We're the band, right? We're the band. We're the creators. We're the artists. We're up here playing, right? The mods, the crew, the members in the front row, the crowd's all there. They make the show happen, and just like with rock and roll, you got to go through these stages to actually make it, right? You pay your dues early, you lose subs, you get strikes, you feel like you're going to quit, you feel like nobody likes it or nobody's listening to it. You got to get past that. You got to keep believing in your songs, right? And if you do that, eventually something like you keep showing up, eventually you will amount to something in the music industry. It'll be right where you're supposed to be. It might be a solo artist, might be a killer band, might be a regional touring band. You might break it big and go national, right? You might just be the best band in town. That's a great gig. The best band in town is a great gig. Dude, there's no place like home. You get to go home every night. You have all your friends around you. You probably end up with a whole freaking cult of people living in your basement that are all like, you're the best. I mean, it's okay when you're young. It's pretty cool. Once you get a family, you're like, get out. Let's see. Where'd you go? Here he is. If you want to work for free, welcome to YouTuber life. Well, hey, yeah. I mean, you definitely are going to be working for free for a while. If you can break it and make it, then you're fine. I got a couple of new shows. I hope they do well. If they do really well, maybe, we take them to another channel. I don't know. I got other ideas. Like I'm talking to one of my best friends who owns a lawn service. I'm like, dude, you want me to help you get this started? And another friend that from way back, dude, he's a good old boy. He's got all kinds of things he can do. He's got this huge property of land, all that stuff. It's just a matter of marketing it right, coming up with some catchy stuff, making it a niche, and then having people that will come check it out. Would you guys come check out these two guys' channel? If you like them and you find them really cool, give them a sub, man. That's all it is. And then when you get monetized, boom, you start getting the algorithm. Oh yeah, everybody loves this lawn and power washing shit. Boom, you're out there with the rest of the guys. There's not enough room in the country. There's too much room in the country and too many driveways and lawns, not for everybody to get in on this. I mean, someone will find your stuff. You'll get 1 million views here and 1 million views there, or 2 million. And dude, you're making $1,000, $2,000 a lawn. What's that like? And then when they're all milking, you're on your way. You got a day job, you just add to your income. You same with AI. You think of ways to do things with AI. Already people are making money with AI. Now, some of them are doing the whole thing, like the crypto thing, where they're going, these five things you do right now, you'll become a millionaire. Those guys are always going to be around. Speaking of these multi-level marketing people kind of thing, I don't know how you would describe it, but they're always looking to rope people into doing what they're doing. There's a lot of money going up the ladder there. It's something to be interested in, because you never know what they might be funding. I mean, they might be funding something like this, or like that. We could probably add this in here too, as long as we're making this map. Let's just go ahead and do it. This is fun, actually. I never thought of putting all this thing out like this. Let's see. Sorry guys, got to do it. I'm not saying the indie scene, but I'm saying the big boys, right? I'm not saying the grassroots. I'm not saying the musicians that are smart enough to own their own music and tracks. That I'm talking about the ones that are fabricated. I'm talking about the fabricated music industry. Let's just put fab music, like the fabricated, because there is a fabricated music. You know what I'm talking about? I say it like this, right? When I pointed out, people are like, "Holy shit, really?" So I spelled that wrong. Cated. Okay, so like all of a sudden this hip new band is out, right? You guys know this, right? Hip new band is out. So they pack in a bunch of kids from school. They give them free tickets, or they go get them on a bus or something like that. They wheel them over to the studio. They had the boy band come out, or whoever it is, the newest chick with who knows, man? Right now, it's probably a bunch of gay bands, right? So they bring them in there and they have them scream and yell, kids, scream and yell. And they play the song, they shoot the video, they put it out, and they go, these guys are the amazing. Kids love them. They're already at number one. They put them on number one. Instant made. They didn't write the songs. They don't play the instruments. They dance around because they got the look, and they enhance their voice, and all the kids buy it, and they act like those guys, right? They go act like those guys. In my day, it was like heavy metal. People actually paying their dues out on the road. That was the rock and roll lifestyle. All those partyings and all those scenes they had, they earned that shit, man. Those guys were sleeping on floors before they got there. They broke. There's very few fabricated bands like that. Maybe down the road, they eventually started catching on, and then they started, then that would just lead to the jam band underground, kind of like grassroots scene, Southern rock, all that stuff. It has multiple channels, multi-channel network. Okay, multi-channel marketing. I think that's what I was trying to get at. YouTuber game is a racket, son. Dude, of course it is. What's not a racket? The lawn and power washer being shared are multi-channel networks, bro. Well, I don't know. This is as a father and son. The biggest one out there is what? SB mowing, SB power washing is. I think a lot of them get signed by these guys. Maybe they know, maybe they don't. But in that just like a flat out huge contract, that's why they got all the good stuff. I mean, at some point, yeah, you're gonna sell it off. Hey, yeah, you want to power wash driveways forever? You want to go spend that money and have some fun? Maybe you want to have some kids and raise a family in a big house. Know that their education's paid for, know that the medical's paid for, know that their food's paid for. You know what? Money is such a stressor, man. And these guys know it. All these guys know it, right? What goes on here? They're going to try to take your job. They're going to try to do this. They're going to try to do that, right? What goes on down here? What goes on down over here, man? Same thing. They take your money. Take your money. Take your money. Take your money. Give me money. Give me money to run. It's all that stuff, man. Wouldn't you like to go just enjoy your life and stay away from all that stuff, knowing it's all taken care of? I'm sure we could add a lot more stuff to this, right? But we're just talking about the first and second veil. You guys know this stuff. Media, right? We can throw that in there. That's why I say establishment narrative. Everybody should know that, right? But maybe I'll just do it just in case. Like maybe somebody new or something. The corporate media. Let's just say remember I used to call it the corporate media. I was like, that's not good enough anymore. That was way back. I actually made a video in college with the CMAT and stuff, CMAT editing and high 8 film. That was about how they manipulated live action television, like cops, right? And my teacher, you should have seen the look on her face when I played that video for my project. She was like, and the other guy was like, "What is this? This is trash." Oh. The other professor who didn't like me because I had it. I was wide open in those days. I was just out to have fun, and I was out to see, all kinds of adventures and stuff. That was me. I wanted an adventure. That was just, not everybody's like that. What I should have been is focused, and I should have known that my time would be limited. And I should have gotten my act together, but I didn't know all that stuff. I figured everything was like, Animal House and, everything was good. Just works out in the end. I was raised on 80s movies. 80s movies, everything always worked out in the end, man. The fourth branch. And Mike, elaborate for me on that. I think I know what you're talking about. Which fourth branch are you talking about? Black Sabbath for the win. Yeah, Ozzy. Now Ozzy's a guy who came up, just great voice, willing to just be crazy. I mean, not crazy enough to do a melon or anything, but just eat a bat's head off. And there's the whole thing where he had to get remember all the rumors that he spread around about Ozzy? Like, he had to get all these shots in his stomach because he got rabies from biting the head off a bat. And you're like, oh, this guy's crazy. That was as crazy as it got back then, right? And there's all kinds of fun stuff going on. Motley Crue kind of nobody really cared that Motley Crue was like dressed up like chicks, like the Hairspray bands and stuff like that. Nobody was like, I was like, I don't get why they dress up this way, but I didn't care. Like I knew they weren't Boy George. I mean, and nobody minded Boy George either. No one made a big deal about what that was. I don't think we even knew what it was. It was like, whatever. Okay, cool. People like his song, whatever. Nobody cared, dude. Why is it a big deal now? How the hell did Boy George and all these people get away with stuff for so long if there's so much hate in the world that we have to make a big deal out of it now? Can anybody tell me that we have to make such a big deal out of it that we have to train kids from early on instead of training them how to detect narcissism and keep it out of their lives, or how to deal with gaslighting and other things, or disinformation even. How about that? Instead of teaching them that, like survival skills, like I say media studies should start in kindergarten. You should like be taught that television and media is there to influence you, and this is how it works. Like that's what I did with my kid. You know, it's not 100%, but if it was reinforced, over and over again each grade, by the time they got out to be bulletproof, man, none of this shit would work. None of it would work, man. They'd have to come up with something else. They have to go back to just putting a gun to your head, because none of this shit would work. I guess they'd have to like, I don't figure out how to manipulate the AI or something, right? That's what they turn the frogs gay. But I don't know. I joke around. I don't mean to joke around about the people being scared. I want them to. I'm not trying to do that. I'm just having fun. But I want them to be aware that these things exist, because I hate seeing people live in fear. I feel their fear. I see their fear. I have to deal with their fear, and fear is a mind killer. Like, okay, guys sitting around talking about AI last night. They sat around for I don't know how many hours. Zero solutions. Zero. There are no solutions. Me and Mike were in the chat going, hey, well, how about this? How about that? Oh, no, it's going to turn sentient. Oh, come on, man. Just listen for a second. You need solutions, dude. What's your solution? Oh, we just we tell everybody to stop. Oh, no, enough people will hear us and they'll rise up. I don't hear solutions. Maybe I missed them. I mean, I'm trying to be fair. These are my friends, but I just, they know what my channel's about. I'm about solutions, about root cause issues and solutions. So I've got to offer you a solution if I can. What's the solution to this? Well, you kind of just heard it, man. We have to remove the enablement. But at the end of the rainbow, right? Who is funding all this stuff, right? Well, that's the real bummer about this, is we already knew who it was. It's the same guy you think it is, right? It's the same guy you think it is. He's been doing it forever. The same one who funds BLM, the same one who funds. I guess that would kind of fall into here too. We could do like maybe one over here. They're right here though. The same one that funds these guys, the same one that funds Antifa, the same one that funds putting all this crap in schools, the same one that funds anything that fucks up. That guy, you know him, Georgie Porgy, Nazi Pie. Yeah. That guy. That dude. What is a brittle, braille old man with a lot of money, and we're all scared of. But you know what? We know what happens with money. I just don't understand. You don't understand why no one's taking him out, because he's got many walls against him. He's got so much influence and power that people are scared of him, and honestly, they should be. He could actually do something. You'd be less scared of somebody like Monty and more scared of somebody like him, and more focused on someone like him. I mean, Monty he does what he does. I don't understand why. But this is useful idiots. Okay, so put the useful idiots over here too. This is what people don't understand, that there are actually useful idiots. Now, let me ask you a question. If you go grab some disinformation or some fear porn, right, and you go spouting it on a live stream or something like that, and you influence a bunch of people who don't understand really what you're talking about, but they understand fear and they understand the dangers, and they've seen movies about it, right? Are you a useful idiot? Are you a useful idiot? Are you working for the man that you think you're fighting? I mean, it sucks, right? So if you want to protect your friends, you don't let them get involved in that stuff, or you try to pull them out. You try to give them the information so they don't spread disinformation. That's probably one of the most uncomfortable things for me, and probably why people think may have some people who don't have the information to talk about it, or don't like my approach to it, or whatever. That's probably the most uncomfortable thing. They may like me, but they might not like my approach to these things, vice versa. But but the reason why is because I fought disinformation for a decade against these dudes, man, against this stuff, right? For 10 years ago, I mean, during the Ron Paul revolution in those days, and on out of it, right? Because what was it doing? Right? It was putting people in these positions. It was making people into this and this and this, right? That's what it was doing. We were down here going, no, right? Because it doesn't help us take care of the problem, the root cause issues. right? How are we going to get the money out of these things and defund them? How are we going to turn this around with education? The answer to this is education, right? But how do we get the education if it's controlled by people who are like this? All right, are people who have been through this, you know, or this, or are part of this, right? How is that gonna? How are we gonna do that? Sorry about that. I didn't mean to leave. You guys, I'm looking at two different screens. That's so funny that you say. My daughter just saw a Culture Club video, and she was like, "Wait, it was like that back then too." I bet, right? Yeah, dude. People thought Liberace was straight for forever. He came swinging in on a chandelier with the big cape flapping his arms. Dude, he came flying down, going, "Hello." And people are like, "He's straight." The Village People, the Village People. My mom took me to see the Village People movie because of, in the Navy, and all that stuff. And I had no idea what I was seeing. And she didn't try to point it out and tell me what it is. Well, some people are not. She didn't say anything. She just let me enjoy the music. I didn't know any differently, and that was it. And I barely remember the movie because it was probably really stupid. The only part I remember is when the girl. That's me. Only part I remember is when the girl was in the hot tub with all of them. Right? That's the only thing I remember. And it was just because they probably focused on her more. All I remember is her. I can't even tell you what the other guys look like. So love the 80s. In fact, we need to start watching some 80s movies around here eventually. Hurry up and grow up, kid. If you don't know there was a problem, it sure as hell isn't going to be solved. Amen, Mike. Amen. Yeah, that's right there. That's the awareness phase, right? So that's what we were doing since 9/11, right? Only the unfortunate part is they knew this was coming, right? Or they had something set up already, because you go back far enough, you get into like the what do you call those guys? You go with the Robert Welch Society, and there's another one that go back to the Kennedy assassination, right? So there were people already kind of working on these things, and those people, they put out way better work, man. They were really diligent. They believed in that. That's why we got that, right? Of course, there's other people that kind of came behind it, grifted it. Oh yeah, all that stuff gets born because the universe demands balance, right? Demands balance. There's going to be for all of this, there's going to be a lot of this, right? There's going to be for every winning reality, there's going to be a Monty. For every 100th monkey movement, there's going to be a whatever. What did you guys call it back then? There was something that they called it. The group was the truthers group or whatever. They thought they were a truth movement. What a joke! What a joke! They were the truth movement, but they told people they were. They put the sign on the door. Monty was supposedly the head of it. He was like, "I'm the leader." I think that. I mean, that's what I saw when I looked back and found old footage and old articles and all the archive stuff and stuff like that. If you guys don't know, I spent a long time researching. That's all I did for a while because I wanted to understand it. It became really interesting and necessary to do that. And that's why I learned about a lot of stuff like that. I learn more. I meet friends and learn more stuff. But really, it's kind of sucks that was what was going on, because here you have some people that are very talented, right? You have some people that could have actually done something. Hey, China, you know what you could do, man? If you really wanted to, you got a lot of information and drive. You want to forget money, forget that shit, man. Let that. You know what? Living well is the best revenge, man. And I know what he did, and I know you can't forgive that. You don't have to, but you need to live well, right? Live well. Try to make amends with whoever else you pissed off. I don't know what you did, but I know that I heard that there's some kind of old school shit still going on. I mean, just get out of it. But you could be part of teaching people, if you put something together good, how to avoid these people, how to not become them, how to create the technology, just from the mistakes you made or from the things that you learned along the way or heard, how they operate. Like, I think that you were the one that pointed out to me in one of your videos about the Google hack, right? You were sitting in your car, if I remember it right, and talking about it. You said some good stuff there, the Google hack, right? Most people don't know about the Google hack. So if you get involved with one of these guys, right? Sorry about that, Mike. You get involved with these guys, and they decide they want to come after you. They want to get your IP address, and they want to get your information or email address. They can use one of these sites to look it up and get an idea who you are or where you're at or something like that, right? they can just go, okay, well, I'm going to go start a fight. He's going to have to make a video about it because that's what people do. Or, maybe he'll clip this, and put it out and say, see, this isn't true. And they're like, boom, copyright claim. And you turn around and fight it, which is a bad idea. And they will use that to they can use that to get that information from you. So most people don't know that. Like YouTube doesn't tell you that. YouTube doesn't tell you that their system is hackable by people with ulterior motives, right? They don't tell you that, but it is. You should know that. Don't do any business on YouTube without a like a Proton email address or something that's not Gmail or any kind of web base that's not encrypted, right? Unencrypted web base. Just don't do it. Don't leave comments there without a VPN, or if you're going to do it, leave comments with a red herring, like red herring address. They love it when you do that. it makes money babies go crazy. Just know what you're doing. But most people wouldn't know to do that, and hopefully most people never run into these people. But you never know when you do, because they're out there. They're out there. They might not like what you're saying about AI, because they think that it's gonna end time, or they might not like you saying that crisis actors aren't real and stage events aren't real. They might not like you saying whatever. It just could be whatever. It could be just that you're in the way, or that who knows, man. It's just whatever comes to their mind, right? But really what these guys want to do is push this up. How am I doing? Okay. I'm grinding through here, man. I could talk about this all night. I could talk, honestly. I think we've covered it all. I think I'm going around in kind of circles now. So I'm going to start preparing to wrap it up, but we're going to keep this. Okay. And I'm going to get it organized better and learn how not to play with it while I'm talking. We'll put these guys over here. But tonight we learned the universe demands balance, and I hope you guys will put that into good use. And when you need to, take some time off and get yourself balanced again. Look at the people around you that are keeping you in balance and how they're doing it. You'll find that they are, you're walking hand in hand, man. You'll find that the real friends, your real friends, right, are going to be people that do that are you balanced and they balance you. You have good synergy, and that. They'll accept you on your bad days and your good days. They'll take you for your ideas and love you for them, even if they don't agree with them all the time. All right. Because you do give them something. You don't have to give them what you got. It's just you being you, just by being you and them seeing you, that gives them some inspiration in some way. To do a little bit more, to bring some more balance in their life. You see someone that's working really hard and making a lot of sacrifices like I do, that reminds me that I need to be doing more of that and less of laser focusing on things. And I need to be more fluid. I need to move from things. I need to move off things. I'm ready to move on from things. There's so much more out there than what I've been locked into for the last several months. And, that's what we're going to do. That's what we're going to do. And then, members, I take care of you, man. I take care of you, members. You'll get all the videos and all the extras. We're going to have a trivia night. Members, just us. I got this whole AI trivia thing. It's an AI. It's just makes it for you. That's all it is. It's not, I'll be hosting it. Right. But it's going to be all this kind of stuff. It's going to be pop culture. It's going to be, internet culture, the kind of internet culture we know. We're just going to throw it all out there. It'll be educational stuff too, like stuff that other people wouldn't know, but we know, right? Like this stuff and the Yuri Biznamel stuff, right? The subversive stuff, things that keep us awake and based, because we're too awake to be woke, and we're too motivated and too aware to just let things fester and say, you know what, not my problem. You know why my kid can't ride a bike around and play outside like I did? Because so many people said, not my problem, and they worried about themselves. While the world went to shit, and maybe a lot of them weren't aware of it, but maybe some of them were. And they said, if you just ignore it, then you're fine. I agree. And sometimes you need to do that for your own good. There are times when that's the right thing for you to do, but most people we need to be solution oriented. We need to start working on it. These people are working on it. They put this shit out a long time ago. They slow boiled it. They're coming for the kids. They came for us as kids. Remember, we're all innocent, love, and light. All right, let me get this. I got a special outro here going on. And by the way, members, again, the intro video you saw, is going to be up with the ending to that video in members tonight at some point. That ending, I love it, dude. You need to see this ending. Please watch it. The Reverend gets up there. He's not really a Reverend. He's just a banjo player, bluegrass stuff. He gets up there and he says something really cool. He says some really cool stuff. And it's probably the best version of that jam I've ever seen. And let me just kill this. Stop. Okay. It's probably the very best I've ever seen him do. It's very, very, very cool. And I like it. And I think you guys will enjoy it. I saved it just for you, just for you guys. So enjoy it. It'll be up soon. I'll be back on Tuesday, if not sooner for some reason. But like I said, I'm taking the week off to rebalance. And I'm going to come back here with lots of good news and lots of new stuff. And we'll get into the new meet. I think, oh, here it is. Okay, I got it. All right, guys. Thank you for sticking around with me and being here. I don't know how long we went, but a little rough start, but then I got in the flow, and I think things came out really good. But this outro, y'all get up and dance, have some fun, shake it loose, man. We're all leaving here a little bit wiser and a little bit more motivated to do the good stuff. And I'll see you around out there. All right. Let me start this, and we will get here. And hey, remember next time.